Excuse me. Let's see. I think I'm live. Yeah. Awesome. Second live. Let's try to get this started real quick. I just realized. So I pulled out all my Oracle decks today, and a lot of my Oracle decks come in bigger boxes, longer boxes, not necessarily thicker, but longer. And I'm pulling out all my Oracle decks, and then I cross my vice versa deck. So I kind of did a haul of sorts yesterday with all my tarot decks, and I forgot the vice versa. And I'm like, I know I must be missing one. I'm pretty sure I'm missing one because I know I had 8 decks before I got the Pride Tarot. And I was like, can't think of it, and it's this one right here. So if I need to, I felt so bad for leaving it out. But if I need to clarify anything, I'll use this deck because I didn't use it yesterday, and I'm going to be running through basically all my Oracle decks just like I did yesterday. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 Oracle decks and 9 tarot decks now. I actually have 9 non-tarot decks, but I'm not counting the Lenormand deck that I have because, I mean, Lenormands just aren't like, I don't know, they're tarot-esque and less Oracle-esque, I believe, and so that's why they sit out. And I used them yesterday too, so I'm gonna go ahead, pull out these dice. I'm gonna timestamp these too today, actually, because let's see. And I should have set this up before I went live, but why would I do that? Me do something before I go live? What? Actually, I want to keep these because I actually like this as a little cute 4-card, 5-card spread. So I'm gonna cut this, make a new note, and just say spreads. Because I have not written this up. And I'll call this the Cardinal. I'll just Cardinal spread. So, subheading. There we go. Yes, nice. Perfect. Love it. Going back here. Do timestamps. I'll say deck 1. Honestly, I could substitute this one for that one. But I'm not going to do that. I don't even know how many Oracle cards I'm going to pull. I'll say deck 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And I'm doing that because I tried to reference something from another live that was like maybe 2 hours long, and the higher perspectives, because I was like, Unknown came out before, and I'm like, I tried to go back and find it, and that video so long. I was like, I ain't got the time to look through this right now. So that's why I'm like, you know what? Plus, on this channel, it's like little things like that I just want to start doing. This is going to be an opportunity for me to put in more effort, because a lot of times I don't necessarily have to put in a lot of effort to do fairly well, which is a gift. And it's a gift in having it, but it's a curse in what the sort of like laziness that results has brought about. But it's like lately I've been getting so many things, and it's like anything can be a sink. And I'm just like, what? Oh, we're going to be starting with the green bag first with the heart. Oh, let me run through these. Well, I'll show them as I pull them up, because then that'll save a little bit of time. Yes. I'm going to pull another D8, and I'm going to run through this just like I did yesterday. I'm going to pull one bag and then another bag. Oh, gosh. Oh, no. Why'd you go? Oh, it wasn't on the floor, but then Then it, no, oh, here it is. Found it. Great. I ain't got time to be looking for these. So I'm going to be pulling one or two oracle cards. I'll pull two from each deck. Roll the dice. One. Oh, let's do it different today. We'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. First deck up is number 7. Wait, or is it number 1? No, that is number 7 on the green dice. Green dice say number 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, the animal spirits. The first oracle deck I got, the wild unknown animal spirits. Also, the first deck I've ever used. I was like, oh, these have less cards than the wild unknown tarot, so these will be easier. And they were. Oh, I was so intimidated when I finally made it to the tarot. I was like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And I was like, oh, well, if I don't want to be intimidated anymore, I need to do the spread with the most cards in the guidebook. So I did a 10-card Celtic Cross as one of my first spreads. And I actually cried. But after I did that, it was a lot easier. So I'm glad I took that approach. Sometimes I could be like, just like go all in. Like, because if you do the hardest thing first, then everything else is easier. That's kind of sort of been my approach with healing as well. I was like, I am going to put these up right. If it comes out in reverse, I'm going to say it's like out of balance because they give meanings and messages when they're out of balance as well. I'm going to get this 3, and then I'm going to pull one from the top. I'll pull one from the top and one from the middle instead of one from the bottom or I'll just pull 2 randomly from the middle. This is the first one. Ooh, the beaver. And the second one. What is that, the spider? No, that's the oyster. The swine. Try that swine. 2 water animals with the swan in reverse. And I'm actually going to get in the book for these. So this may take me a second to read it. Left at the bottom of the deck is the turtle in reverse. All water animals, which is interesting. All aquatic. And also, these are all water animals, but we don't have any animals that like actually live in the water besides the turtle. But turtles can also they also go on land, right? Like swans, water animals, but also the element of air. There we go. And then beavers, water animals, but the element of earth. So no fish, no sharks, no oysters, no dolphins, whales. That's interesting. I feel like it's worthy of note. So I'm going to get into the book. I already pulled the book out. Go to the water section, and I'm going to read whatever one comes up first in the water section first. Pulled right to the elephant. Opened up right to the elephant. Oh, there's the shark. No sharks. Oh, now I got baby shark stuck in my head. I actually like that song. Baby shark doo 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 doo. Baby shark doo 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 doo. Baby shark doo 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 doo. Baby shark. So with the beaver says hard worker, loyal, tireless, and family first. All right. The beaver personality is a welcomed sight. These good-natured and dependable creatures have infinite love and enthusiasm for family and express it by way of the earth element, which is what I was saying. Providing a home, financial stability. Although a beaver doesn't usually initiate a project, once started, they'll work steadily for weeks, months, or years to see it through. The beaver card appears when the task at hand requires your long-term, steady effort. It can also signify that it's time for some karma yoga. Oh, selfless service. When in balance, it's happy and meaningful work. When out of balance, it feels useless, it's worn out. And to bring in balance is physical labor and selfless service. So there's an element of selflessness there with the beaver, as well as an element of like financial and earthly stability. Hey Miyoshi. Hola, welcome. Welcome in, girlfriend. Welcome in, girlfriend. I'm just running through the oracle cards today because I did all the tarots yesterday, and I kind of sort of didn't want to do it, but I was like, I already planned to do it, so I'm gonna do it. And then so like low key, I'm being pulled in like all kinds of directions right now. Not different directions, but first like I got a pull to start this channel and to sort of like move, right? And then today, I'm just in here. I finished uploading the video, and I'm just thinking, and I'm like, then the thought comes to me, it's like, wow, like people don't have a way to contact you. And I was like, contact me? Contact me for what? And then it was like, like questions, readings, or whatever. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna put my email up there. I'm not even gonna question it at this point. Um, and I feel like a lot of stuff, even with my Instagram, it was like, or when I started putting like my Amazon wish list in the description box and stuff like that, it was just to have that avenue open. Um, but yeah, so today has been a very interesting day for me personally in a lot of ways. And I guess I'll share this. I feel like on this channel, I can share a little bit more of what I go through because I feel like I sort of like go through and observe and notice a lot, but I don't always talk about it. And some of the stuff I do talk about, I may talk about it in a way that's a little more surface level, and I may not sometimes go to the full depths of the level at which I kind of sort of perceive it. I didn't even timestamp this. Oh my gosh. I'm going to call it 7 minutes. I'll call it 9 and then I'll go back and fix it later. I just looked at the time and it said 12:12. And I was like, oh man, I'm not even doing timestamps. But for me personally, it was around the eclipse at the beginning of July last year and I think I've kind of sort of talked about it. It's like I felt the presence of someone coming to me. Yeah, I talked about it when I made the hallway analogy because I felt someone coming down this long hallway. And they came into the room that was my sacred space. And I was like, this is interesting because I've never had anyone like approach me in that space. When I go to that space, it's like I always like look for other people from that space. And then things happen. And the me that stays in that space, I was like, what is going on? And the me that was in that space was like, when you find it, you'll know. Like it'll make sense when you enter this like this space on the 3D. Like when you meet this person, like you'll know. And then now I'm thinking about it, or I was actually thinking about it like it's kind of sort of been on my mind for the past few months. But it's like I haven't necessarily met that person in the 3D yet. But it's like, okay, I can kind of sort of understand why things happen the way that they happen. But there are just like other sacred spaces that I build. And that person is always there, or they'll show up. And so I was on my buddy's Facebook. I feel so bad for the swine because I'm sort of like rambling in the middle of this. But I was in my buddy's Facebook Live and we were going through a guided meditation, and it was about cleansing the chakras and releasing stuff. And it's like I get there and I'm not even like all the way in the guided meditation, and the person is already there. And I'm like, so do I not have like any sacred spaces to myself? But it's interesting because it's like always the same person. and only that person. Like there are certain, the way I've structured my sacred space, there are certain levels that other people just don't get to. But that person just is like there as if it's also their space. And I'm like, what are you doing here? Get your own space. Um, but in that guided meditation, the way we walked through it and the way the scene played out to me was just like, it was what it was at the time. And that was on the new moon. That was the night of the new moon. So that was what, the 22nd, which was like a week ago today. Um, and then I had a dream the night before last about this house in this certain location. And then I'm like, I don't know. It's like everything is synchronicity now. I don't know why it's so, it just like, it kind of baffles me a little bit, but it is what it is. Now back to this. I don't know why I just went on that random tangent, but I don't know. I kind of wanted to talk about it, but then I didn't want to talk about it. And then when you came to hear Miyoshi, I was like, ooh, I want to talk about it. But anyway, so this beaver, it's interesting that it says this beaver doesn't start any projects, but once you get it started, it will continue it for as long as it takes to make it successful. So this could be someone that has a lot of, fixed energy in their chart, or a lot of Capricorn. And actually, it could be Capricorn because Capricorn is the sea goat, right? So you have this land animal that for some reason is in the sea. And that's very Capricorn. Well, no, Capricorn would actually start it though. So yeah, that's a lot of fixed energy. Maybe fixed earth or fixed water. So that is the Scorpio Taurus axis. Slow but dedicated beaver. First, I thought that said, my brain almost tried to read slow but dedicated lover. And I was like, no, that says beaver. That's definitely BEA for, not LO for. And then I had the swan in reverse. I'm going to find this swan and I'm going to try. I'm not necessarily going to rush this, but I'm going to try to not expand and expound too much because, these videos be getting long. And then whenever I got to go through and try to find something, I'm like, what? How long does this take? So the swan in reverse. Make sure it's in there-ish. It'll adjust in a second, maybe. Swan in reverse. The keywords are effortless creativity, sensitive mystic, and elegant power. Elegant. The swan represents heightened creativity. In Hindu mythology, the goddess Saraswati, 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 the embodiment of language, creativity, and artistry, rides on the back of this graceful creature. The swan is ready to take. The swan is ready to take us there. Ooh, ooh! The swan is ready to take us there, girl. Stop! It's too warm back here for that. Let me. I'm sorry. She didn't have to write it that way, though. The swan is ready to take us there to the fluid realm. To the fluid realm. The swan is ready to take us to the fluid realm. Okay. All right, swan, calm down. Um, to the fluid realm of writing, creating, and reflecting. This potent and healing energy is not to be taken for granted or taken lightly. When the swan card appears, your soul is called for attention. Your soul is calling for attention. Sorry. Uh, for solo time. An inner voice is waiting to be heard. An inner vision likely to be revealed. When in balance, this card is infinite creative power. When out of balance, it's agitated, snippy, and lacking vision. And to bring into balance is solo time and writing. So if you've been feeling a little extra agitated or a little extra snippy lately, it may be because your soul is calling to you and you're not listening. It's bringing very potent healing energies, infinite creativity, connection to a more fluid sort of state of being, but you're just like not open to it. So that's unfortunate. To bring in a balance, it's that solo time at writing. So if writing is a thing for you and you've been a little agitated or snippy lately, then maybe do some writing. Exactly. I ain't gonna say what that could be, but if you've been feeling like you should journal or write, whether like in a healing manner or a creative manner, then do that. I don't know. Maybe the next New York Times best-selling novel or the best New York Times best-selling whatever book is being written right now in this lockdown quarantine era. So that's interesting. Now I'm going to move on to the next set, and I'm going to try to keep this moving. Try to keep it moving. Talking about creating sacred spaces. Maybe y'all should get into creating sacred spaces within your own self-contained mental planes, aka use your imagination. I didn't think I really had one. Ooh, girl. We're going to the gray ones. We started with the heart dice. Now we're going to the gray ones. Come on with the synchronicities. Then, girl. Some people, and this ain't like nothing personal, because I do it all the time too. But it's like some people get all these synchronicities and then they're just like looking at the numbers or like listening to the, well, if it's a song and it reminds you of a person, then that's, like an entirely different thing. But it's like, we look at the numbers as signs, but then we never do anything with it. It's like we kind of sort of just collect signs. I'm actually going to pop out the chat, so I ain't got to like get that close. And I'm going to try to, I don't know. It is what it is. It is what it is. But the numbers come with messages, and the messages come sometimes with a call to action. We're going with the gray dice now. From the green to the gray. All right, gray dice. Ain't no projection today. Just do whatever you gotta do. Number 7. So we're starting with 7-7, and I'm typing that right here. 7-7. We already got a double, and I just started. 10% at 10-10. Tens, tens, tens across the board. That's the 9 of Pentacles in the Pride Tarot. It's like this card may be a 9, but it's tens, tens, tens across the board, honey. Yes. All right. We starting with double 7. So spirituality is like popping right now, I guess. Oh, and now a 5. Okay. So 5 should be this one. Some encouragement. I actually love this for the gray dice because there's no way that this encouragement can go wrong. Yeah, I can talk about the gray dice now. I already done rolled it. You already been rolled. Oh, this is the Universe Has Your Back deck. I got these off of Wish. Oh my gosh. Can I stop dropping things on the floor, please? I got these off of Wish, and I actually love that they're smaller. I got these in the Energy Oracle cards on Wish, and they came in like the smaller size. And they're actually the same size as well. So sometimes I like to mix them together and then see what comes out. All right, I'm actually going to do 3 of these. Give us encouraging messages. What words do we most need to hear right now? Or what words would best serve to propel us into the direction that we're going in? Or to comfort us, or whatever we need. Y'all know. Oh, and look. Here's 4 cards. So we get 4 cards. These are the 4 cards, and I'm going to read them. I love the artistry on some of these. I mean, I guess you could do that. And it is like you were posting them like all day yesterday. I was like, oh snap. They really be trying to get your attention. She said, we ain't listening. Who ain't listening? Who ain't listening to who is the question. I was like, ooh. The moment I embrace my peace within and surrender the outcome is the moment that the universe can truly get to work. And then we come out with that beaver card, and then this is the first one. So I feel like this is sort of putting us in the energy of, it's like the universe sometimes is the beaver, but we have to get the project started. But once we get the ball moving and once we get the ball rolling, and then this support comes in to aid us, right? And so I feel like I personally, in my own life, have been feeling like the wheel of fortune is metaphorically stuck. Let's say the wheel of fortune is metaphorically stuck, and so to get it to turn, we have to push it. We have to put in some kind of effort. We have to give the wheel something to latch onto. You know what I mean? And so it's like, but once we get the ball rolling, that's when the support comes in. It's like we have to depart from the dock before the wind starts to blow from behind, before we catch that tailwind. Because if the tailwind comes in and your ship is still tied to the dock, it's not going to go anywhere. Or worst case scenario, it's like this huge gust of wind comes in and it blows your ship, but your ship is still tied to the dock, and so the whole dock just like falls apart and you lose your ship. Because if the ship is tied to the dock, you're probably not on it. That's why it's like tied to the dock. You know what I mean? So once you surrender the outcome and give into the embrace the peace within, then it's like, once you do that, you'll be given this a thought. The cards of the day today were the Shining Winds and the it was another Justice, the Chancellor. And I felt it as the energy of like, sometimes we get these little ideas and it's for us to act on them in that moment, because we never know what that's going to lead us to, right? And sometimes we have to follow it a little blindly, but just trust and know that like it's like it snowballs, right? That's giving me beaver vibes. The universe may not be starting nothing right now, but it will definitely support you. So if you're in a space of, and this is just like manifestation kind of sort of 101, right? If you're in a certain mental emotional space, and if you're exercising certain behaviors out of certain mentalities, then it's like the universe is also pushing that forward at the same time. And if you're sort of stuck in a standstill, it's because you're not really giving it direction either way. And I heard for legit, like from July from June or July until like low key kind of sort of December, maybe, or even February, maybe, or even up until like last week, maybe, less and less frequently. But it's like you're doing this and you're doing this, you're like flip flopping too much, and the universe doesn't know what to do with you because you're not sticking to anything. And it wasn't until within the past 2 weeks where I've decided to stick to this and then stick to that, that it's like beginning to pick up momentum and it's beginning to pick up steam. It took me a while to get it, but I finally got there, right? Second card is I create mindful moments throughout the day, reminding myself that I am love and ready. What? Hold on, wait. No, 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 no. Oh, no, 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 no. I am love and what? Oh, and miracles are natural. Okay. This is stylized so weird. So I'm going to do that one more time. I remind myself, psych, I create mindful moments throughout the day to remind myself that I am love and miracles are natural. Ooh, there we go. I am love and miracles are natural. This gray set is coming out after that green set. So this is all having to do with the heart. And so there's a certain amount of whatever. The third message says, I've actually seen that card before, and I don't think I actually read the first part about I create mindful moments throughout the day. I think I just read I am love and miracles are natural, but the same message stands, right? But you have to create those moments to remind yourself. Sometimes you have to make it, especially if that's not your default, then you kind of sort of have to make yourself consciously aware of that. Like when I was like fresh or like fresher on my journey, that's one thing that I had to cultivate a lot. But once you kind of sort of get into the habit of doing it, it's like the default of your mindset changes. So you don't have to consciously do it as much in the future. Not to say that like you'll never have bad moments or off moments, but it's like your default switches from being like worst case scenario, pessimistic. Why is this always happening to me? Why can't I get to where I'm trying to go? It shifts from that to something that's a lot more constructive that'll actually get you to where you want to be instead of keeping you stuck in the place that you're at. So this card says, oh, wait, hold it. I am the loving energy of the universe. That's what this card says. I am the loving energy of the universe. And now we're sort of like shifting towards the point where the swan was in reverse, where all of that potent and healing energy and that infinite creativity that we have sort of within us, this reserve of it that resides alongside our connection to that, which is all that is. But when we're not in alignment with it, then it's like we cut ourselves off from that. And that's why, like, even with Sahaja Yoga, it's like with Sahaja Yoga, it's like the chakra system maintains itself. But if we create blockages in it, that's when the self regulatory systems can't function. And so with Sahaja Yoga is all about sort of like putting ourselves in a space to allow the system to do what it does, right? The body, in a lot of ways, maintains itself in pretty much every way, as long as you're not like on an extreme, like as long as you don't have any kind of sort of disposition, genetic or otherwise, to the interruption of those self-regulatory systems. But like typically, naturally, the body takes care of itself as long as you don't put it under undue stress and as long as you sort of put into it what it needs to run, right? And so I feel like the same thing is to be said kind of sort of here. Even with the energy system in the body, it maintains and regulates itself as long as we're not putting more stresses on it, as long as we're not blocking it, and as long as we aren't sort of putting things into it that will weaken it and affects its ability to heal itself. Okay. Last message is the moment I realign with love, clear direction is presented to me. The moment I realign with love, clear direction is presented to me. And this is now sitting on top of that swan in reverse. I love this kind of sort of progression. I'm not going to reread those because I feel like, you can follow it. Well, I feel like my memory be like extra bad whenever I'm doing stuff like this. But if I try to recall like when I said something, I'll be like, oh, that was in Daily Bite number 7, titled this, and I was talking about that. And then I'm like, wait, what was Daily Bite number 7? I don't know, but if I need to know, I'll probably remember. I promise my brain just be like getting a little slower sometimes. It's like we are processing at higher. And like the Akashic records have been popping up again today too. I was scrolling through Instagram and I saw some ad about a free book, and it was like, I tried to send it to you, Miyoshi, but I couldn't send the ad on Instagram. Sometimes I want to share ads on like Instagram or other websites and I can't. And it's only like very, very rarely, but it still irritates me because it's like I'm trying to do y'all, like, not only are y'all interrupting my viewing pleasure, but I'm also trying to like do y'all a favor by spreading this, but I can't share it. Like I could have sent it in a DM, but can I get a link? You know what I mean? Anyway, it was like the Akashic Records made easy. It was a free ebook, and I saw it and I thought of you. So That's another thing that popped up today. And then what did I say yesterday about giving up my librarian number, or not giving up my librarian number so folks don't get me in trouble? I was joking though. Those were jokes. I joke a lot, if y'all can't tell. Or not like a lot, but sometimes I do. Um, or I may just like say something. It is what it is, you know? All right. So next is the orange set. This is like solar. This orange set is a little gray though, low key. NGL, not gonna lie, it's a little gray. It's like orange, not necessarily red. Is that gray? Yeah, that's pretty gray. And the numbers are yellow, so that's like sacral, and you know. Excuse me. Okay, what's the next one? Oh, number 8. The wild unknown archetypes. Ooh, these is heavy. Let's go. I'm only gonna get 2 of these. And depending on what this archetype is, I might bust out the deck. Oh, my nose. Oh my gosh, I didn't timestamp the second one. Ah, I'm so bad at this. I always be forgetting. I'm gonna call the second one. It was about 15 minutes because I remember I saw 12:12 when I went back and I did the first timestamp. I'm gonna say this one starts at 36:50, and I'm gonna get this shuffle on and I'm gonna keep moving. Get your shuffle on. Get your shuffle on. Hey, what y'all know about that footwork? I saw something on Facebook yesterday. They was like me going to church or the first Sunday after quarantine, and they had church lady in there with her big old hat on and doing her. She was shouting and doing all that footwork. First card out is the bridge. If the rainbow bridge is something, oh gosh, ew. I'm just got a tickle on my nose. Ew, why is there, ew. There's like a tickle on my left nostril. Okay. I don't know why my left nostril just started to like tickle. If you've been hearing about the Rainbow Bridge lately, maybe look into it. If you haven't been hearing about the Rainbow Bridge lately, I'm going to say maybe look into it, but maybe it's not for you. Okay. What else? I kind of want to do 3 of these now, but that's a lot. Okay. I'm going to do 3, and then I'm actually going to clarify these with the vice versa because archetypes are so dense and so vast. And so it'll help me sort of like, cutting to the lover and the warrior in reverse. That's interesting. The lover is upright and the warrior is in reverse. And that's interesting because here I am again. I believe it was Daily Bite number 10, the one that has an actual thumbnail, and it has 4 piles. And it was like fact or fiction, this or that, that or that. It calls out pile number 2 to mind because in pile number 2, that same kind of energy sort of came out, the warrior and the lover. And that pile talked all about duality, but coming to a space of like non-polarity within that duality. And it's interesting that both of those showed up at the cut. And so this may be another moment, maybe with that bridge, potentially with the bridge coming to sort of moments of non-polarity or spaces of non-polarity, and whatever that means for you. Okay, there we go. I was like, all right, it's time. The desert. So is the bridge an object? The bridge is number 38. I believe these are both locations. Oh my gosh. 38 and then number 37. Oops. I believe that's 38 and 37. Look at that. Where's 36? And then the cave just came out, which is 32. So shout out to the 30s. If you in your 30s, then this might be for you. Let me stop. Okay. Maybe I'll only pull one vice versa or two. We'll see. We'll see what comes out. Yes, I get to use y'all. I'm so sorry that y'all got left out yesterday. That was not intentional. I had a feeling like I was missing a deck, and instead of searching in my box of boxes, I just kept it moving. Oh, this is the vice. Ooh, so the back of the Page of Swords is what was at the bottom of the deck. And here's the front of the Page of Swords. So with the vice verses, instead of card backs, you get a different perspective. And I love this deck so much. When I first started using this deck, I was like, I'm going to use this deck all the time because I love it. Now I don't even use it because for a lot of the backs I have to read. And honestly, like me having to read stuff keeps me from using some of the decks that I have. Because I'm just like, oh, I don't feel like reading today. And I could use it intuitively. I don't have to read. But sometimes the insights are just so like on point. I'm like, wow, I love that perspective. And I got to make sure I actually like flip half of the deck over. I got to flip it over and rotate it because this has reversals in it as well. So there are 78 times 4 different card meanings, right? 78 cards. And then if you add the reverse, and then if you add the back, and then you add the back in reverse. All right, let's clarify this bridge. There we go. Oh my gosh. Back of the Page of Swords. And what is this? Number 8. Strength in reverse. Is this the backup strength? Yeah, this is the backup strength in reverse. That's interesting. The backup strength in reverse in this page, in the back of the Page of Swords. Let's clarify that bridge. And the bridge is number 38. And so we got major number 8 that came on top. Okay, let's do this desert. This might take a minute, but I'll try to speed it up a little bit. I also have the title card in this deck. So if the title card pops up, it's over. Basically, that's how it works. Also, in the Oracle, in the Magical Dimensions Oracle cards, if the Guardians come out, sometimes that means it's over. Because I remember I was pulling them one day. I can't remember what I was talking about. But I was like, oop, the Guardians just popped out. And they came out with another card. I was like, okay, yeah, this ain't for me to talk about. Wouldn't it be so? Let me stop. Let me stop. I was like, wouldn't it be so funny if like I offered to do a personal somebody for somebody and the first card out was like the title card and like they had already paid me or whatever. And I was like, oop, girl, I'm sorry, but this card mean it's over. Thank you for your purchase and your time. Let me stop. I wouldn't do that. Oh my gosh, look, there it is at the top of the deck now. After the shuffle, the title card. Oh, title card. It's over. Okay. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, and this is over. Is it over? Well, it's over for the desert. The desert doesn't get any clarification. Okay, never mind. Just kidding. Oh, no, that's way too many. But I'm taking every single one. Every single one. I'm skipping the desert, but this is all for, well, this will be between the desert and the cave. That's how I'll do this. So the first card out is the front of the 5 of Cups in reverse. And that's on the cave side. The next card is the Magician, the back of the Magician. Second card is the 4 of Cups, the front of the 4 of Cups in reverse. Actually, or is that the back? If it's pointing to the right, it's the right side. This side or that side, doesn't matter. And now, yeah, this is the back. These are all the backs. And all these came out in reverse too. So the back side of all of these The Five of Cups, the Magician, is upright. The Four of Cups, and then the Seven of Wands are all in reverse. Now, here is the Two of Pentacles, the back of the Two of Pentacles upright, ending with the Sun in reverse. And this is the front of the Sun in reverse. So the front of the Sun in reverse is sitting on top of the desert. And so someone is getting baked, and not in a good way, not in a fun way, you know, not that kind of bacon. I remember that. I was like, "Oop, I guess I'm done here. Y'all ain't gonna get me in trouble." See, because I feel like there are some things that are to be experienced, and there are some things that aren't to be known. Because at the end of the day, the journey is much more important than any answer you'll ever find. And it reminds me, I need to watch that scene again. Um, hey, my mom probably said that chili done. Okay, I'm probably gonna be here for a while. Hey, bro, I can't remember what the oracle said, but she said something up to the point like she can only see, like she can't see past choices that we don't know that we'll make, or we don't know why we'll make, or something like that. I don't remember how she said it, but it's that same energy. It's like if I told you what you're gonna do now, it wouldn't help you at all because the person who you are now wouldn't make that choice. And it's like you wouldn't even understand it because it's a space that you have to grow into. And it's something that, like, not only will you grow into it, like, you'll also mature into it. And so that's why I sort of feel that sometimes. It's because it's like, especially if you ask a question of, like, okay, especially if you ask a question of, like, um, because one of my friends, I did a reading for her before, and there was something came out. I was like, it's a nebulous space. Like in this space, there is so much potential and so much possibility because there's so much that you don't know right now. And then come to find out, because when she asked me that, I did that during Hermit Week, and Hermit Week was the first week of Mercury retrograde. So it was like early November because Mercury went retrograde in Scorpio on like Halloween. I remember. So it was early November. I did that for her. And I was like, this is a nebulous space. Like, there's something about this space. I was like, it's going to be important for you to like leave this space empty. And I don't know why. I don't know what's happening or what's going to come. Like, you don't know, but just know that there's a very nebulous feeling here. And then she was like, what does that mean? And it's hard to explain, but I think I just did a decent job. But it's like there's going to be something that you don't see. Is going to be a choice that you don't know why you'll make. It's just like you. Honestly, at that time, it was the energy of like spoilers. Like if I told you this, it would spoil it. And that's something that you're meant to experience as you watch the movie, as the story unfolds, as your life progresses. You're meant to come to this point where you come to this realization and you make this decision. And so then in like mid February, it was when I was at my retreat. So like early to mid February, she sent me a message and she updated me on some things in her life. And then a few weeks later, because like, and this is another thing about reading for people sometimes, it's like, and maybe it's not a failure on my part. Did it happen yet? Yeah, it happened. Um, it's like maybe it's a failure on my part But honestly, I never feel like it's my responsibility to correct something that I say. Like, I will say what I say, and a lot of times I'm very intentional. When I'm just talking, I'm very intentional about the words that I select. When I read, I try to do the same thing, but sometimes I gotta like find it. You know what I mean? But like, I told her what was going down, and she projected someone else into that space. But I knew the person that she was trying to put into that space didn't fit into that space. But at the same time, I also understood that it was her journey to try to put that person in that space and then realize that that person doesn't fit in that space, because that was a sort of 8 of Cups, 10 of Swords, 10 of Wands moment for her. And so I didn't correct her, and I wasn't like, no, like that's not the person for this space. And I had a pretty good idea of, because we're best friends, and so I had a pretty good idea of who would eventually occupy that space, or who would step better into that space, from the time I did that, and just like listening to her. But when I saw the cards, I was like, it's very obviously not the person that you're talking about. It's very obviously this other person, but you're not even in the space yet where you see that, because you still have to deal with this. And so for me to tell you that it's not what you have to deal with won't help, because in the moment you'll interpret it as you need. But fun fact, that's one of the reasons why, if you get a reading from somebody and they say one thing and you interpret it the way that you want to interpret it, to go after who or what you want to go after, and then it doesn't work out, sometimes it's not the reader's fault and it's not the reading's fault. It's just that you chose to interpret it in the way that you wanted, because you were so hungry for that confirmation. But in reality, that may not even be the case. And so then, and I pulled some cards for her. I pulled some of these for her around New Year's. It was for the new year. I pulled some cards for her. And then mid-February, some stuff happened. And then by the end of February and the beginning of March, her whole world kind of sort of went through a shakeup. And I ain't trying to put a nobody business out there. Her whole world went through this sort of shakeup. And there was one person who stepped up and who filled that space, and who was like the one solid thing that she had when everything else was being shaken up. And by the end of everything, she's like, wow, I've never had anybody do that for me. I've never had anybody stand by me and be this solid. And like the way that that person was just like here through all of it is just like amazing, and it's mind blowing. And I was like, yeah, because but like at the same time, that's why I was like, it's so nebulous, because that situation didn't happen. That person didn't step up. He didn't shine yet. She didn't yet experience that or see that and know that the way that he stepped up was a way that the other person never would have been able to. And that other person had plenty of opportunity to do that, and he never did. But she kept trying to sort of she didn't try to push that on him, because she just accepted the reality of the situation, that she wasn't going to get it from him. But she didn't expect to get it from somebody else, because she's never experienced it. And so I was like, yeah, see? But you was so convinced it was that other person. But like I said, I never feel the responsibility to try to correct someone else, because you always take it how you're meant to have it at that time. But when some of them cards came up, I was like, yeah, it's nebulous, and I could try to pull more to try to like dig and like glean something, but I'm not gonna do it, because I can recognize, for me, I can recognize when I need to leave something alone to let somebody else just live their life and experience it. And so, like, I'm not saying that, like, I just throw my hands up and be like, oh, oh, well. But, like, that's one of the ways that that energy kind of sort of plays out. Man, this is going to be so long. I'm already like an hour in, and I still got 5 more. Shout out to y'all for sticking around. Y'all's the real MVPs. I just sit up here and talk and let my food get cold. All right. So, on top of this bridge is strength, the back of strength in reverse, and the back of this page of swords in reverse. The thing I love about this page of swords is that if you look at the front, you're just like, oh, who is that? What is he doing? But when you look at the back of this card, you can really see how luminescent that sword is. In daytime, it's like it still stands out, but in the night is when it really shines. And it just popped into my mind like, imagine the bugs that must just like fly at this dude when he's holding something that bright at night. I would get annoyed. I don't know what the bugs got to do with it. But I feel like with this strength card in reverse, sitting on top of this bridge, and the bridge is on top of the beaver. Is this going to be a whole beaver versus swan thing? I don't know. I'm going to keep going with it as long as I feel it. But it's like, I feel like what's actually required of you to establish this bridge and to receive openly and to give openly across these waters is like actually so little. Because going back to the bugs, it's like, you only have to have the strength to swat off a few mosquitoes and maybe like a few moths that fly towards you, right? And it's like he is prepared to fight. Like he's a page of swords. And Sarita's like, honestly, all you got to do is like shoo the mosquitoes away. And if you go buy some off spray, the off spray might help. And then you ain't really got to do nothing. All you got to do is show up. But I want to read the back of that page of swords. I do. I do. Yeah, but that's what I mean. You really can't tell or convince anybody of something that they don't want to be told or convinced of. So it's all a part of the journey. And look, he's right there. I'm gonna do my best to read this, y'all. I'm gonna do my best. The back of the page of swords. It says, "This is the inner self." Okay, first of all. So on the court cards, the front is the outer self and the back is the inner self. Interesting to note. So this says, when we aren't able to see his aggressive facial expression, the knave seems, hold on, wait. The knave seems slight and easily blown off course. His grip on the sword seems defensive, even desperate. The landscape below can be seen more clearly as ice and snow, beginning to melt here and there. Dark clouds approach to blot out the blue sky. This is a person who worries about being able to cope, to keep up with those he admires and wants to learn from. He's almost ready to ask for help, but requires patience and guidance to find a safe landing spot. Wow. So that's why this strength is in reverse. Okay. So we're going to take a different message. What you say, Miyoshi? See, correct. But to take that a step further, it can be said that you're always going to attract both, right? Why do you choose the moths and the other flying pests instead of the beautiful things? Because in a way, you're always going to attract both, especially if you're like vibrant and when you embody that light, you're always going to attract both. But why do you choose the ones that you choose? You know? You don't try, but you do. So I feel like, let me stop. Okay. Once you do the things that, once you take care of the things that need to be taken care of, you won't have that issue anymore. And I'm going to send you that video I did for you because I feel like when I pulled those cards, the space that I felt you in, I feel like you're coming to that place now where you're going to be ready to like stand in that space. And I'll go ahead and send it now because maybe it'll motivate you a little bit. But with this, it's talking about it's sort of him like acting brave, and that's why the strength is in reverse, and that's why this bridge is here because like they're reaching out, right? And so I feel like there's this energy. Well, maybe that part of the message was just for you because I'm like, wow, now I'm feeling this in a completely different way. It's kind of sort of similar, but it's a completely different way. For moi, girl, a video for moi. It's the Hermit Week, week one. Remember when I did the house spread for you? And I pulled those cards, and the front side was like somebody else's energy, and then I flipped over the cards that had another card on the back, and then it was your energy. And I was like, you're coming into this space where you're going to be healed enough, or like you're just coming into this space where like you no longer attract the things that you don't want. And even if something that you don't want comes into your experience, it's like it's seated at a different table. So it's like you're selecting the table that you want in the restaurant, you're selecting your food, and you're going to be placed in among good company. And so you won't necessarily be able to dictate and determine who you sit with, but whoever comes and sits down next to you will be someone of like up to your standards. That video. Yeah, that one. That's it. It wasn't like a whole personal. I've never done a personal for you, have I? Is that weird? um, but with this bridge, I feel like someone is like not reaching out for help when they need to, basically. And then like you have this hand over here that is ready. Like if you look at the hands, it's almost like one is a child's hands and one is like a grown hand. And the child is green. The child is green and yellow and orange ish. Is that an orange or is that like a pink? What? That's a pink. The child is green and yellow and pink, and then the adult is red and orange and blue. So I feel like that's like your heart has to be open to see that truth. With the solar plexus going into the sacral, and then kind of sort of the sacral slash heart going into that root. Like that's a lot of no, because we always personal. Exactly. I feel like this isn't necessarily the inner child, but it could be. Because like this could be your inner child reaching out to you, but honestly whenever you do inner child work, it's like you have to reach out to your inner child because a lot of times your inner child is still in that space where it's afraid of whatever it's been dealing with kind of sort of in the background as we've been going about our lives. And so we have to reach out to our inner child. It's almost like a scared animal where it's like frightened in a corner, it's backed into a corner and it doesn't know if you're like a friend or a foe, and so it may hiss at you. This is how I'm feeling it. It's not necessarily like that. But you have to extend your hand in love and show yourself friendly in order to begin to really establish that relationship. Because, kind of, sort of, at the end of the day, a lot of us have been neglecting our inner children. And I don't necessarily want to get too dark, but it's like children who have been neglected often aren't that it's like they don't trust easily, especially if all of their experiences is being like taken advantage of. So, I mean, that's just like because this is the inner self, right? So that's just the inner. It's within you. That's why it's dark. It isn't necessarily. I mean, it could be dark because it's dark, but it can also be dark because it's within you, um, and not receptive. I mean, girl, like I said, you see it how you need to see it. But yes, keep typing it in because it may resonate if somebody come and watch it later. Even though this is gonna be like a 4 to 5 hour video. I don't know who come in and watch later, but if you come and watch later, hi, welcome, thank you, I appreciate it. But this is just like not having the strength to reach out when you need to. Because that's what jumped out to me. It's like you can't see his face. Here, there, you can see his face. But on the back, you can't see his face. It says he's gripping his sword like tightly. He's looking for a place to land down there. The storm clouds are rolling in. He's almost about to ask for help, but he's not going to do it. And I feel like that is a distorted sort of strength. I feel like a lot of times we interpret strength as an ability to sort of like stand alone and to face anything when sometimes true strength is the ability to like reach out. True strength comes with the ability to form connections and to form relationships as clarified by this bridge, like has been disturbed, blurry. Exactly. Girl, if you want a picture of this card, I will send you a picture of the card. Let me stop. So now we go from the desert to the cave. It's interesting because both of these are places of isolation, right? The desert is cold and dry. The desert is cold and dry. The cave is cold and dry. Oh my gosh. The desert is hot and dry. The cave is cold and damp. Maybe someone is in a space where it's like they're kind of sort of like in both places at the same time, but not able to find peace in either. The desert is cold and dry. The cave is cold and dry. No, the cave is cold and wet and damp and moist. The desert is hot and dry. And in both situations, it's like you're alone. Now you see this, someone is like, that hand is reaching up now, and look at that. You see them hands? Let me see these hands. What these hands doing? Oh wow. Someone is like, I feel like someone is really afraid. And it may almost be two different situations. Because here's like someone drowning in sand, reaching up for help. Maybe someone was buried alive and they're coming from the dead, being resurrected. But over here, it's like someone is reaching out. It's like you're reaching out in the cave and you can't see anything. And then someone grabs your hand. Like, I would be freaked out. Like, oh, who was that? Fun fact, quick aside, I almost died on a middle school field trip when we went to Hannibal, Missouri for the Tom Sawyer days because we were going in the cave and the cave was dark and I almost died on a water slide. I almost died at the skating rink eating cheese pizza because it was too stringy and I couldn't breathe and it got stuck, literally stuck in my throat. And it was so stringy that the pizza was like this far from my mouth and the cheese was in my throat and I couldn't breathe and no one was helping me. But anyway, we're in this cave and there are like these little light posts and I wasn't paying attention. I'm admiring the cave. Just like, wow. And I wasn't paying attention and we're walking like single file because it got kind of tight in some places. And I'm walking and then I wasn't paying attention, but all of a sudden, out of my peripheral audio field, I hear the guide speaking from this direction. So I stop and I turn, and everyone else went around a bend in the cave. And I look down and I'm like literally about to just like walk off this ledge in the cave. And I'm like, oh my gosh. If I wouldn't have heard that man's voice at the last second, I would have just stepped and been a casualty on a middle school field trip where Tom Sawyer took place. And what's up with all these hands? Is that just the deck? I mean, some cards have hands. I mean, this is because like somebody ain't reaching out. On the Beaver side, someone is reaching out. Someone is taking that help. Someone is accepting the assistance of spirit to take that project and to move it forward. But what could be preventing someone, and this is more so before we reach over to this side, is like it's like you're almost reaching out for help. Like all the strength required is you saying that you need help. But then we have the desert and the cave. And on the desert, now they're reversed. Let's see, this will be one, oh, two, and then these two in the middle. So we have the sun reversed and the two of pentacles, the back of the two of pentacles on the side of the desert. And it's interesting that the sun is in reverse on top of the desert because, you know, maybe, and this is kind of sort of the energy of someone who may be afraid for their life to like take a different direction and to improve for the better, or maybe someone who just doesn't see it happening. And so because someone doesn't see the positive and the brighter sides in life, even though there are beautiful things that you could be thankful for and appreciative of in your life right now, you can't see them. And so it's almost the energy of like, no matter how great life was to get, you'd find something to complain about. So life doesn't even try with that two of pentacles because you can't fully like just let one go. And then coming into this in-between space is the back of the magician and the four of cups sort of in reverse. And the back of the four of cups in this card talks about how we missed one ship, right? And so I feel like this is the energy of like, you know, I had one escape from the situation that I'm in, and I didn't take it. I manifested. This magician is in reverse, so it's in reverse. This magician is upright, so I feel like you recognize that you manifested this, but it seems like an escape in the past. Like there's this energy of like I feel like whatever help I was gonna get, I already manifested, and I've already lost it. It's already gone. But with this being in reverse, I feel like it's like you not realizing again with that sun card in reverse that potentially you have things that are literally right there to get you out of the situation that you're in, but you're not going to take them. It's like you're reaching out in the dark, afraid of what might touch you. And what is this? This Seven of Wands just slid over to this Five of Cups. So with the Seven of Wands and the Five, and it's interesting that the Five of Cups is on the side of the cave, right, where it's all dark and damp. Um, but with the Five of Wands in the back of the Seven of Wands, this is the back of both of them, and they're both in reverse. And the front side of both of these cards is bright, right? Look at the front. It's all bright. At least it's daytime. Now it's dark because you're in the cave. It's dark. Not only is it dark, I feel like even though you have a position of advantage with that Seven of Wands, with this being in the dark, it's almost this energy of like where you think you had advantage, you actually don't, right? Because the whole thing about the Seven of Wands advantage, like with the Seven of Wands, you have the high ground, so you can see where everyone is coming from. And also, like, they have to try to sort of hit up, and you can just, like, you see them and you have the high ground, so you're at the advantage. But it's like they're like, okay, we'll wait until it's nighttime when he or she can't see us. And so someone got smart and they're coming by night, right? Um, I would say I don't like giving warnings, but be careful of someone, especially with the sun card in reverse, sitting on top of the desert. I feel like it's like be careful of someone who would try to come in and save you from this. Take it as it resonates. It's almost this energy of like be careful of the aid that you try to enlist, right? Because it's along the energy of like people who need money getting loans from loan sharks, and then it's like yeah you get the money in the moment at the minute, but if you're not able to pay that money back, you're going to lose everything and more, right? Or it's the energy of like getting a used car that drives well, but as soon as you take it off the lot, it falls apart. It's like, be careful of the aid that you enlist and maybe be a little bit more specific, be a little bit more discerning, is what I'm going to say. But this is happening at night because there's almost this energy of like someone is flipping the advantages that you naturally have against you, and it's putting you in the dark. And then with that Five of Cups in reverse, I feel like that's just the energy of something that may come in and look real nice, but as soon as you turn the light on, you'll be able to see it for what it is. And so while you're in the dark, now is the perfect time to get in touch with your own intuition and to get in touch with your own discernment so that you can really feel some of this stuff out. Because there's almost this energy of like something can try to come by night to catch you off guard. But if your I'm just going to say like if your spirituality is on point, because there's no easier way to say it or quicker way. If your spirituality is on point, then when you're in the dark, your intuition kicks into like overdrive, because when the sun sets, the moon rises. And so your intuition is on point. You're like instinctual, just sort of like that instinctive nature within you is on point. And it's not that you're sort of like alarmed or like scared. It's just that like your reflexes are sharpened, your intuition is heightened, and you're able to react quicker in the dark because the moon rises. And when the sun comes out, you're able to relax more. You don't like you should still use your discernment when the sun is out, because mirrors are a thing and mirages are a thing. And we're talking about the desert. So again, with that sun in reverse, maybe it could have been a mirage. It's an illusion created by the sun, maybe because it was a little hot. Maybe it was a little too hot. Maybe you was a little too thirsty. Maybe you were a little too thirsty in the desert and something came and it was a little too hot and you was like, oof. But when you're that thirsty and it's that hot in the desert, it's probably an illusion. It's something that came looking good. And it's not even the moon card. Like, it's not even the moon, it's the sun in reverse. And, people say, oh, the sun, like, even when the sun is in reverse, the sun is positive. Yeah, the sun is positive because it taught you a lesson, taught you who you can't trust when you're in the middle of the desert. But that's what I kind of sort of feel about that. And I feel like I kind of sort of wrapped that up a little prematurely, but, there's a purpose and a cycle to everything. And so whenever the sun isn't out, you need to make sure that your moon is. Because then you can avoid situations like that when people would try to come in under the cover of the night, or when people will try to come in whenever they perceive you as in a state of vulnerability, right? Man, I ain't even going to talk about it. I almost said something, but I ain't going to say nothing because I ain't got time to be engaged with. I ain't even going to talk about it. Let me just. It's fine. But yeah, that's that. But yeah, it's like you're like a day animal by day and a night animal by night, right? Because there are fish, there are sea creatures who live at the bottom of the ocean that have no eyes. And so even if it was bright outside, like they may be able to see, like, how your vision may get like a little yellow or red if you stare at a light with your eyes closed. But even if it was light, they wouldn't see it because they've evolved to live without eyes and they have other ways of sensing and perceiving in the darkness. And I feel like that's where your developed, honed, and refined intuition sort of kicks in to protect you from things like that are very advantageous types of energies. Beware of advantageous types of energies and people. People who always seem to may seem a little extra sweet whenever you're down, or they'll flop. It's like they're extra sweet when you're in a good mood, but as soon as you're down, then they want to try to come in with some kind of savior complex or something like that. Leave it alone. Number 8 again. So I'm going to hit this with 77, 77, and 88. Okay. Or I could do, oh no. Hold up. 77 and 88. And every time I've done this, it's literally giving me the one that I read previously. Like I just did 8, and you want to give me another 8? Oh, 6. Okay. 6 is the energy oracle cards. Oof. That went all kinds of places. These go all kinds of places. And like I said, I was in the dark in that cave. I was following the same path I was on. I was walking straight, not noticing that everyone had went the other way. And it just so happened to be at a point where there was no light. There was barely a light. And at the last second, I heard his voice. I heard the voice of the guide who was guiding us through this cave coming out of my periphery. And I'm like, oh, wait. Oh, they all went that way. And that kept me from just walking right off. Oh my gosh. I can't even imagine. Oof. Okay. Energy Oracle cards. I'm going to pull 2 of these. Another 2. The man holding a heart is back in the deck. Fun fact. I'm going to interpret these as 1. Oh, wow. It's 3 of them. So Envy came out upright. Cornucopia came out in reverse. And Attachment came out in reverse. Envy, Cornucopia, and Attachment. This could be the energy of someone who was in your inner circle or was close to you at one point, and for whatever reason, they got cut off. And it's this is a very parasitic energy because for whatever reason, they got cut off. And maybe at first they thought they would have been fine, but it's they're starting to shrivel up and wither without that attachment there. and now they're getting envious. Potentially. Maybe not. I didn't even timestamp this. Oh my gosh. I'm going to say 119. I keep forgetting. Y'all see how quickly I forget stuff? Let me unplug these because I'm sure they're done charging. I'll put them in my pocket so I don't lose them. 119. And I guess let me clean that up a little bit because that it doesn't necessarily have to be that dark. Oh, who this? Well, girl, these the karma cards. Let me stop. It doesn't necessarily have to be. They don't necessarily have to be envious of you. That could be the case. On a lighter note, this could just be someone who this could be like someone who you may have thought that you were that's the same thing. That's the same thing. It could be it's different. It's not that they're necessarily envious of you, but they're sort of just like someone, either they stepped out of a situation or you stepped out of the situation, and they're realizing now how much being in that dynamic could have brought them. And I'm going to tell you a few reasons why, or one specific reason why. But now that they're not in that connection, things are kind of like things are starting to suffer. And so they may not be envious of you, like on your game, still making things happen, but there's this envy that they have of that past connection. Now that they know how to appreciate it, they're like envious of it. Does that make sense? It's like, man, like I shouldn't have did that. And they're like, I don't think that they don't necessarily have to be envious of you. It's just like they envy what they used to have with you. And not even you specifically. This is just an attachment, right? So this could be like a job that somebody quit because they thought that they would get like something better. And now that they don't have that better job, and now that, they got to pay bills, but they ain't got the money to pay bills, they're envious of the time. Yeah. So this is a self envy. This is someone who lost some kind of attachment in some way. Something in their life changed and things aren't what they used to be. And now there's this energy of envying that. You can envy yourself from the past, right? Like I could envy when I was working, like when I had a job and I was able to buy video games whenever I wanted, and I was able to get new phones and able to, do this and do that. I could envy myself back then, but just like envying somebody else, it's not going to help get me where I want to go. Yeah. And I don't want to I feel like, we all sort of have these, especially like the longer you live life, the more opportunity you have to experience up and downs. And I feel like sometimes it's really easy to be in a space where you're feeling a little down and you look back at a previous time in your life and be like, wow, I've really had it all at that point in my life. And the point is to not do that. So this could be self envy or it could be envy of other people. I personally like the self envy narrative better. Than the first one, but it could be that too. It's not going to get you moving forward, I'll tell you that much. Because if you're just looking back, it's like that's already passed. Okay, there we go. Now we have anxiety. And I'm actually going to get one more. Is there anything to clarify this anxiety? Or no? No, anxiety is by itself. So anxiety is all about the sort of, this is giving too much credence to the way things are, the way things were, or the way things will be. And I feel like anxiety a lot of times, and this is a very or not extremely personal approach to this, but I feel like anxiety is the energy of like being too far outside of the now moment. Either you're thinking about something that will happen in the future, and you're like, how am I going to get there? How am I going to get there? I don't have this and I don't have that, and it's never going to happen. And everything I try to do to get there like falls apart. And it's because you're so focused on the future that you're not taking advantage of the now moment. Or you could have, can you have anxiety over the past? I don't know. Or it's like hypothetical situations. So it's either like the future or possible futures that may not even happen. Or even hypothetical presence, but a hypothetical present still isn't the now moment because you're wondering, you're taking yourself out of that moment and trying to allow your mind, you're trying to allow your mind, your very limited mind, to construct a reality that you're not experiencing when you could be in the reality that you're already in, right? That's kind of sort of the energy of anxiety. It's like trying to get your mind to construct something that it's not sort of like meant to do. Like you can look at different perspectives of your now moment, but oops, when you start, something just fell on the floor. When you start trying to like be like, how will this person react, or how will that person react, or oh, I don't want to say this because I'm going to be looked at like that, or anything like that, that's when it doesn't really work. But so those were two kind of rough messages. The last message is action and yin and yang. So love that. And I'm not even going to say what I could say about these two, but we got yin and yang and we got action. So in the bottom of the deck, when I'm talking about that, is the woman holding a coin. So maybe somebody got their coin up a little bit and now they're feeling a little more confident to come in. Or maybe it's just somebody with like who ready to come in and to build. The yang, when the yin and yang is upright, it's the yang energy, and the yang energy is receptive. So receptive action. That's interesting. Receptive action. Receiving is an action. Being in a space and being in a mode of receptivity is an action, not inaction. Action. Receiving is acting. Like when you're receiving, like when you're reaching out to take something, that's you doing something. That is the action. This is the action. Holding your hand out is an action. And there are yin cycles and there are yang cycles. And for this third one, it's like you're in a yin cycle. And recognize that being in the space to receive something is taking an action. Sometimes you don't have to do more, but what you receive, you also must act upon at the same time. This may, honestly, this may be all like one story. Like this is past, present, future, and depending on where you get stuck is where you'll end up. Like if you get stuck envying either somebody else or envying yourself in the past, you're done. If you get over that envy, but then you come into all of these anxieties, kind of sort of like worrying about something, it's like your mind is racing too much to put you in that yin receptive mode. And you're going to be constantly fighting and nitpicking. That's a very nitpicky energy. It's like you could receive this idea and then you'd be like, well, if I do that, how does that help me? Well, maybe if you did that, you would meet somebody who does this and you want to do this or you want to do something like this related. And when you're doing that, meeting the person doing this and they connect you with someone else doing this, now you have a whole network of people who are doing this. But when you're nitpicking and you're like, I don't see how that's going to get me where I want to go, then you miss out on doing that and you miss out on all of this. And then you're just stuck there in anxiety, overthinking, and never moving. Your mind is racing too much. And my friend, my very good friend who traveled the world like 2019, everywhere she went, she met a person who did something related to what she wanted to do. Like literally everywhere she went. And she called me and she'd be like, you'll never believe like what this person does. And I'm like, what? And then she'd be like, they're well, she has a book now. M. Valentine and Aaron Spencer. Check out Esme the Curious Cat. They have 2 books out. And I was like the first person that she read the sort of like, what do you call it, a manuscript of the first Esme book. And I actually have it. Let me see, I gotta find it. I tried to put it somewhere where I wouldn't lose it and where it wouldn't collect dust. Esme the Curious Cat. I was actually like, she read me this book basically before it was illustrated. And she was in one of her favorite places on the planet. And I started to cry. And then she was crying and I was crying. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like it actually happened, because that's something that had been on her mind for so long, but her world was just so chaotic. It was too chaotic for her to even really begin to write it. And she came up with the whole book in one sitting. When she finally took a moment or found a moment to take rest and to be in that now moment and to allow peace to come in. And like there was a whole bunch of fire in the sky at that time, and she's an Aries. And so it was just like lighting her up, and she was in a space to receive it. And when she received it, she took action, and now it's like an actual book. Now they have 2 books out. I don't have the hardcover version, but and she was like, yeah, like I'm doing this, and I met someone who's like an illustrator at this place, or I'm doing this and I met someone who's like works for like a publishing company. And I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah. And that's when I was like, wow, so you like that's just being in the flow. And that's the part of like the secret and the law of attraction. And like once you are committed to healing and once you are committed to moving and going in the directions that you're told to go, like things like that happen. um and I actually worked with the illustrator that she's working with in school. And she called me and she was like, hey, like, do you know any illustrators? Because like I have the book written, I just need to find an illustrator. And I was like, I don't think so. And she's like, are you sure? Because I think you do. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I don't. And she was like, call me crazy, but I know you know the illustrator I'm going to work with. And I was like, and then I was going through my Instagram. I was like, well, I have this one friend who does art. I know this other person who does art. And then I was like, oh my gosh, there's this one girl who I worked with who is absolutely amazing. And I love them. And they're just like, not only are they a really good person, but they're also like extremely talented. And that's the person that she ended up working with. And so she knew that I knew that person, even when I didn't know that I know that person, because she had the connection and the trust in that connection that she had, she was able to get it from me, even when I didn't recall. And if she wouldn't have been that persistent, I would not have remembered her. And it's so weird because I literally see her on my Instagram all the time and I'm always liking her stuff. And then I was like, yeah, no, I don't know anybody. But man, that friend, she's just like, she's amazing. I love her. But yeah, see, like depending on where you are, like if you're not gonna allow yourself to open up to doing this and doing that, and then having these chance encounters, it's like you're cheating yourself out of a lot of the things that you're manifesting. And honestly, it's one of the ways that a lot of that stuff is kind of sort of gate kept, right? And it's not gate kept in any sort of malicious way, but it's like the work and the healing that you're doing. It's like you're doing it for more reasons than you may even know. And that's why I'm always like, it's important for you to be establishing your own relationship. And sometimes if you got to go to a reader, if you got to go to somebody else, if you have to depend and rely on someone else's connection to confirm what you're already feeling or to move on the things that you get told you need to move on, you could miss it. Everything that you want can pass you up just like that because you weren't ready to take it. So yeah, there's a lot of, I feel like, kind of sort of control issues with anxiety. But some of the control issues is like lack of control issues, maybe. I don't know. Needing to control everything. Oh, now we get into the blue set. So what's T, sis? Give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I love this set. They're gorgeous. Gorgeous, darling. Yes. We were sitting back here just having a kiki. I need to get that second book. I was like one of the first people to get the first book. And she was like, wow, you may get yours before I even get mine. And I was like, hey. But hers got delivered like right before mine. We got ours on the same day. Not that it was a competition, but she was just like, what? It's available on Amazon. Just look up Esme the Curious Cat if you're interested. Maybe I'll link it down below. I think I will. I'll link it down below. And I still need to get the second book. Okay. Number 1. Ooh, now we going into astrology. Should I pull 3? I always do these in 3s. So yeah, why not? I'll do 3. Number 1. Now here we go. I'm gonna say 135.30 if I can get in here quick enough. I'm actually remembering this time, so hey, kudos to me. Maybe I should put what they are too. I'll put what they are later. I'm like, number 1, astrology. Number 2. All right. But yeah, that's just so amazing. I love listening to her talk. But she's so like Aries, and I'm so like not. Like listening to her, I'm like, wow, you're doing this, and I was never jealous, but I'm just like, I wouldn't be able to do that. Like, I can't just do stuff. Like, I always got to think about it. Like, and we're just different people. That was always my excuse. I was always like, you're an Aries and I'm a Pisces with a lot of Taurus in my chart. So, and she has a lot of Aries in her chart. So I'm like, no wonder you can just go and do stuff. Like, that's not me. And then I met my one friend who's also a Pisces, but who does stuff. And I'm like, okay, so yeah, that's not a valid excuse. It was never a valid excuse, but now you know for sure that that's not a valid excuse. And I was like, man, yeah, well, I mean, yeah, so not an excuse. But yeah, I love her. M. Valentine. What is that song? Me and you. It's like me and you got through all of the bad times, changed the game. It's an anime opening intro for Fairy Tale. Dun, 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 dun. The one thing about being a smaller channel is that, I mean, I guess the videos could like get taken down, but I ain't got to worry about monetizing. So if I wanted to just play some music, shoot, I could. What y'all gonna do? Take my channel from me? I'll just make a new one. Let me stop. These cards are so big. Ooh, that was actually kind of nice. See, this is why I don't shuffle these like this. This is why I do this. Because it's easy. Okay. So I'm going to take this card right here. I hope they're different colors, y'all. They might not be. I'm going to take this card right here. Watch them all be red. Was that red or green? I don't know. This one is white. Oh, it was brown. Wow, I'm such a bad psychic. Let me stop. I never claimed to be psychic, first of all. I may just be a little intuitive sometimes. That's it. Y'all ain't gonna catch me claiming nothing. I'm not psychic, I just know. So 2 browns. Browns are signs, and they're in reverse. I got 2 signs and a planet. What if this is like Gemini, Virgo, and Mercury? That would be so cool. Cancer and Capricorn. Wow. Cancer and Capricorn. And the nodes are literally about to shift in a few days. So North Node in Cancer, South Node in Capricorn is about to be over. And we're going to be shifting into Gemini and Sagittarius. The planet is the North Node. Oh my gosh, y'all see that? The North Node, Cancer, Capricorn, and the North Node. So this is very relevant to like right now. What is going on right now? Cancer and Capricorn in the North Node is the energy of, and shout out to Lisa from Heart of Inspiration, because she's been saying it from like day one that I've been on her channel at least. She was like, you know, and it was around the eclipse. She was like, you know, with this North Node in Cancer, it's time for us to be spirit-led. And so that's all about it's time for us to connect to ourselves, time to us to connect to the heart, time to us to connect to home. And maybe that's another reason why a lot of people were kind of sort of going through these mass awakenings, because I feel like with North Node in Cancer, It's all about finding a true home, like your soul's home. And so you got these people going through awakenings, you have these people connecting to soul tribe and soul family, and you have a lot of this stuff maybe happening within the last 18 months specifically, because that's how long the nodes stay in a sign, is about 18 months. And so it's like, I hope you found your tribe. I hope you found your family. I hope you have established your connection with spirit, because now things are about to shift into Gemini, and Gemini energy is crazy. And so I feel like this Gemini nodal shift is about to just like throw a whole bunch of wrenches all over the place. Or maybe not. Um, but the Cancer Capricorn is also about its comfort and stability. It's the house, right? Cancer or Capricorn is the house, Cancer is the home. Capricorn is the foundation, Cancer is the heart and the food. And with the North Node there, I feel like it's with the North Node being in Cancer and the South Node being in Capricorn, I feel like it was a space for us to reprioritize. And how fitting, I guess, fitting in a very tragic way, but also beautiful, but mostly sad way, that as before the nodes sort of shift, we're all stuck in the house. We all come into these lockdowns. It's like Cancer and Capricorn, North Nodes, last stand. Get everybody in the house, keep them in the house, and then get them to sort of begin to feel the connections or the lack thereof, right? Because I feel like for a lot of people, the house was just the home. It's like, oh, this is the building I live in, and these are the people that I live with. Like, I'm busy, they're busy, school, whatever. We spend a certain amount of time together each day, and then I don't necessarily have to worry about it. But with the North Node, it's like all about finding the home within that house, and all about establishing those connections with the people that you live with the people closest to you. And I was going to say something else, but I lost it. And also, it's been about, like experience or expanding on that spiritual connectivity. And I feel like the axis of Gemini and Sagittarius is very cerebral and very scholarly. I feel like Gemini is more cerebral and Sagittarius is more scholarly. I feel like the energy of Gemini is like someone who took a class in like high school, or someone who read an article on the internet, or someone who like talked to 15 different people who all said the same thing, and now they think that they're like an expert in that situation because of secondhand knowledge. Whereas Sagittarius is the person like who is the like doctor, the lawyer, the person who got the formal training for it, because that's the ninth house. Ninth house is higher education. Sagittarius is philosophy. Gemini is more to that sort of like quick thinking, um, intersocially communicative type of energy. And so it's almost like, oh, wow. It's almost like we've we're supposed to have been establishing solid foundation spiritually, and now like all of the, and especially with Gemini, I feel like in some ways we're already experiencing that, where like we come into this pandemic, and air sign energy, kind of like Libra, Gemini specifically, and I can only in personal experience, and like a person does not a whole zodiac energy signify. But my one Libra friend, like if you ask him something and he doesn't know, he'll just make something up that he thinks sounds good. But instead of saying, I don't know, he'll just make something up. And I feel like Gemini can kind of sort of play that same energy. Um, and we're kind of sort of feeling that, like, as we're coming into this pandemic, instead of like some people saying like, hey, this is something that we've never dealt with, we're not sure if this will work, we're not sure if that'll work, it's like, here's a solution, there's a solution, here's a solution, there's a solution. and none of them actually work. And then you have other people saying this is all anecdotal evidence, and that's literally what I was just saying about Gemini. I've talked to 15 different people, and they all said the same thing. And I read an article online, and this is what that person said. So this is the truth. Whereas that Sagittarian energy is the one that actually puts in the time to validate and verify that that's the truth before they give you something. Um, and what else was I going to say? I kind of lost that. The North Node is actually going to be in Gemini, and the South Node is going to be in Sagittarius, which is very interesting because I feel like North Node Sagittarius is all about unifying, but North Node Gemini, like Gemini energy, is polarity. And with the North Node there, that's what we're supposed to be heading towards. So the South Node is sitting in that space of like, we are all one sort of global collective. Oh my gosh. Well, no, because that would be the South Node and Sagittarius again. No, that would be South Node and Gemini again. I was like, oh, I hope that is not how this plays out. But with the South Node being in Sagittarius and the North Node being in Gemini, I feel like that's pulling more into the space where it's like it's okay that we have these polarities. It's okay that we have these dualities, because where duality and polarity exist, specialization can come in. And not specialization in a Sagittarian way that's necessarily like I spent like my whole life learning about this, and in my last 10 to 20 years of life I'm going to teach you. Whereas Gemini is all about getting like firsthand experience, right? And that's another thing. I guess that's the positive part about Gemini as compared to Sagittarius. I feel like Gemini is about getting that experience and learning through experience and going from this place to that place. And Gemini, in in a certain functional form, I guess, is able to adapt its mindset because it's mercurial, right? Mercury goes from place to place. It rules trade and commerce. And so it can speak differently to different people and still get the point across. Whereas Sagittarius is the energy of just like talking way above everyone's head and no one fully knows and no one understands. And a Sagittarius is like, I've spent my whole life doing this. I'm right, you're wrong. Regardless of if that Sagittarius is actually right, they're just so like dedicated to the principle of the truth that they've already experienced, even if that truth is incorrect. And I feel like Gemini is kind of sort of like it's more open and it's more communicative, and that it takes the place in the space of a more childlike energy, right? Because like Aries is the baby, Taurus is like what, the toddler or whatever, and then Gemini, I don't know the age breakdown, but it's maybe like preteens or early teens or something like that. In your formative years, when you're taking in a lot of information and when you're sort of discovering your own identity, and so you may kind of sort of feel around, but it's like we're gonna be in this space of forming a new identity, right? And hopefully we come into the space where we can look and see what other people are doing and we can emulate what works well, and we can not emulate the things that have already failed. But since we haven't tried them yet, then maybe they'll work for us, when it's like, no, like enough people tried this, like you're not that special. Like I feel like Sagittarius North Node might be more like, you're unique, where other people have failed. Maybe they haven't tried it in this uniquely philosophical Jupiterian way that you're going to do it. When you go at this, you're going to find good fortune, right? And it's like, no, that's where the South Node is. Like, don't think you're special. If it ain't working anywhere else in the world, it probably won't work here either. But also take from each other and move forward. And like, if the whole world like collaborated, or not even the whole world, if like honestly, like if America, I can only speak about America, but it's like we occupy this space so many times, it seems like, where it's like we don't know how to do this and we don't know how to do that, and somebody else will be like, well, there's like 15 other countries who are doing this and it works very well, and like, yeah, but we find some way to like denigrate it and then be like, yeah, no, that doesn't work for us, when it's like in reality I feel like it's okay. Like, why do we have to be so special? Why do we always have to be first? Like, why can't, and I'm not going to go all the way into it, but there's just this energy of like with Gemini being the polarity, I feel like that's the energy of like, this person does that better than me, this person does that better than me. Coming into true mercurial energy, I'm going to assemble the best of the best in every area, and then we're going to come as a sort of like think tank collective of minds and come up with a better solution. And that's, again, that's that like Gemini Sagittarian sort of aspect. But I feel like Sagittarius gives a lot more credit to what is already established and who was put in that time, whereas I feel like Gemini is more likely to listen to people who may be smaller or less experienced, but it's like those are the creative people who are actually making these breakthroughs, and those are the creatives who are doing it right, doing it well, doing it outside of the box, and like the people that we should be listening to. But yeah, this ain't even about Gemini and Sagittarius. Well, Cancer, Capricorn, North Node. So we're going to be shifting out of that. Hopefully, you've got some sense of foundation, but you're not prioritizing the house over the home. Cancer North Node is all about home first, connection first, love first, caring first, and then coming into the establishment with that Capricorn South Node. But with the North Node in Cancer and the South Node in Capricorn, it's like we were already so establishment heavy that it's no longer serving us. And that's why we have to go to that Cancer North Node, because we lost a bit of the heart when we were doing all of that Capricorn law and infrastructure and institution stuff, right? Moving on. I miss these astrology cards. I haven't pulled these in a while. I miss them. And again, I'm not an astrologer, so you ain't got to listen to me. I'm not at anything. You ain't never got to listen to me. Excuse me. And I feel like I will not be the first, second, third, or fourth person to tell you that I know better than you do, because that's not my shtick. All right. That was interesting. Okay, interesting. Yes. Number 6. Only 2 left. Or 3 left. Oof. Let's see what else is going on. And I'm going to put my email in these. If anybody watches this and you're like, well, what kind of services do you offer? Girl, I don't know. ABL, anything but love. Because I just don't like doing love readings. And I'm just going to open myself up to it because I feel like I got the nudge to be like, hey, oh my gosh, why? Y'all always got to go on the flow. Y'all know I don't like it when you go on the floor because then I got to find you. No, that ain't it. I was like, wait, is that it right there? Oh, why did Alexia by Rain just pop into my head? The part of the song where Quadir is like, don't nobody want you. Okay, don't nobody want you. I'm like, ooh, what? I'm telling you right now. What did he say? He was like, when I enter the room, people taking notice. And that's why you're really mad and lost your focus. I'm like, wow. I don't know why that song just popped into my head. I ain't listened to it in a minute, but shout out to Quadir Howard. He on YouTube too. He don't necessarily, he's actually, I think he's always been spiritual, but he's like really getting into it or showing more of that side of himself lately. And he's a Scorpio. So shout out to Scorpios. I love Scorpios. Oh yeah. I'm a Taurus rising. I have Scorpio on my descendant, so that's my 7th house. So it makes sense that I love Scorpionic energy. So, if you got Scorpio in your chart, if you a triple Scorpio, if you got 3 Scorpio placements, oof, that's hot. Hit me up. Low key. I got a lot of Taurus in my chart, so the bull can take it. Ooh, let me stop. Lord, let me stop. I'm going to find that later. I don't know where it went. Okay. In tropical, we're going to be in my nodes. And Vedic, we're already there for tropical. And Vedic, we're already there for tropical. Oh, yeah, because Vedic is a sign behind. And the nodes progress in retrograde, so they go backwards through the zodiac instead of front. That's why we're going from Cancer to Gemini. And so in Vedic, it's already there. So number 6, I'm going to say this starts at 154. I ain't even roll yet, but 154.20. Just put the time step on there so I don't forget. This is pile number 6. If you've come here, we're just starting. I ain't even rolled the dice yet. And I actually want to do a dice live too. I want to. So, in daily upload number 4, I was talking about some of the things that I'm going to have working on the background. And coincidentally, daily upload number 4 in the Daily Bites playlist has no sound. So everything that I was talking about doing isn't even there. He loved me. I'm that Scorpio. I love Scorpio so much. I have Scorpio on my descendant because there's a depth and emotional and spiritual, and just like in general, there's a depth to Scorpio that I like love. Cause like if we can't dive deep, it's not for me. I'm not a shallow surface level type person. I'm not. Like my North Node is in Sagittarius. I need to like expand and expound on things. Number 1, why does it keep doing that? Why does it keep giving me the one that I literally just read? 77, 88, and 11. Now it's going to give me like 2. Oh my gosh. I literally just read number 1. Number 4, I believe this is new. Yep. We're going to the Angelarium. So you can put your bets in the chat now. Which is going to be next, number 2 or 3? We only have number 2 and number 3 left. I'm going to say that number 2 is going to be the next number out because of what this deck is. And if you've been watching me for a while, cough, cough, Miyoshi. If I'm pulling this deck, the Angelarium Oracle Cards deck, you don't know what deck number 2 is, but you can probably guess why I'd say deck number 2 is probably going to be the one that comes out on the dice next. So, oh, you said 3. Girl, well, you don't see what's on the table. I see what's on the table. All right, I'm going to get 2 of these, and then I'm going to talk about that. I love just talking, I found. Also, I like silence. I'm a Pisces. I play both spectrums. I'm mutable. Okay. Man, why I got this headache trying to roll in? Because I'm hungry. How about eating today? Yeah, I ate cereal. I tried to I know this is like TMI. Well, not TMI, but I know this is like irrelevant. Oh, there's the first one. Wow, okay. It would be so funny if Chesed came out next. Or Chokma. I think it's Chokma. I've been trying to get cereals that are high in fiber and low in sugar. Because when I was on my retreat, my friend, him and his girlfriend, they are cutting out or reducing the additional sugars that they have in their diet. And also, I just want more fiber in my life, I guess, because, why not? And so I got Raisin Bran, even though I don't like raisins. And I got generic Raisin Bran at that, and it was just not hitting. So I had to go back and get me a super sugary cereal. And the super sugary cereal I got, cereal is low-key kind of expensive. And I'm not pleased. I bought this $3 to $4 cereal, and I got 4 to 5 bowls of cereal. I'm like, 4 or 5 bowls for $4 or $5? Really? No, that's outrageous. And so I got the generic cereal, even though the generic cereal was pretty much as the regular cereal, but they didn't have the 2 for $5 at the store. So, and the generic cereal don't even get soft. It don't even get soft and soggy in the milk. And I don't like soggy cereal, but I don't want to sound like I'm eating dog food because it's so dry and crunchy, even though I got half a bowl of milk when I'm finished with the cereal. And I'm sorry, I don't know. It is. And I was in the store with my mom, and she's the one that actually told me. She was like, you may want to actually look and compare and see, because sometimes these cereals ain't cheaper. And I was like, what? Why wouldn't they be cheaper? This is Malto Meal. This ain't General Mills. Hello? This ain't Kellogg. What you mean? Okay, what else is there? Third card. One, two, three. Who is it? It's Hasmid. Oh my gosh. Girl, I don't like this. I am not a fan of that angel. I mean, I'm not a fan. I'm not gonna try to sugarcoat it. I don't like it. I don't like it. Man. Y'all know some of these angels, and that's what I was saying the other day, or maybe I was talking to Miyoshi. I don't remember. I was like, yeah, I was in here drinking some wine. I had some wine, some saltines, and some pepper jack cheese because my buddy was on Facebook and it's like BYOB. And I was in the store and I was like, he goes live every lunation cycle now. So I'm going to just pick me up some wine now. I already have the saltines and the pepper jack cheese. And so I drank me a bottle of Blackberry Merlot. She was good. And I had some saltines and some cheese. And I was like, what did I say? I was like, yeah, I'm in here like turning up. I was like, don't tell my angels. But then I was like, some of them angels probably party because some of like some of the angels got to fight the demons, right? Like, so they can't all be like love and light because some of them got to fight. And then here comes Hasmed, the angel of annihilation. I'm like, annihilation, really? The angel of annihilation. Annihilation is an interesting word because nihil is Latin for nothing. And an is typically a prefix that negates, right? It's like incompatible, anhydrous without hydrogen, androgynous without drogen, right? Miss misogyn that's Aj. That's miss though. Misogynist and misandrist. Polyandry, that an is again, that's related to the man. What's another an? Anionic. Anionic is like not charged, I'm pretty sure. No, anion, that's negatively charged. Cation is positively charged. So anionic is like, never mind, I'll take that back. Anyway, it's like without nothing, or is it nothing? But to annihilate something is to make it nothing. So I'm like, how y'all go like and annihilate? Shouldn't it be like an anti annihilate? To not make it nothing? To not make it unnothing? Anyway, why am I getting so deep into it? So on the left side, which is interesting, we have Bina, which is the left eye knowledge. And this is a sphere on the tree of life. And then on the right side, again, is Hasmed, the angel of annihilation. And I've never read this card. I've never received Hasmed before. But the angel of annihilation is here. So the angel or the sphere of knowledge and the angel of annihilation. Okay, let's go. Let's do this. Let's do it, do it, do it, do it. Batch goy, baby. Ooh, this headache trying to roll through. Yes, crown chakra, open up. Yeah, Chakma is the right eye. I was like, it'll be so interesting if Chakma right eye comes out on the right and Bina left eye is on the left. That'd be so cute. And then the angel of annihilation comes out. I'm like, okay, well, that's cute. But hey, you ain't gonna catch me. The energies are what the energies are. And like low key, I ain't even gonna say nothing. I don't want to complain about people, but it's like I guess I'm gonna complain about people for a hot second because I ain't gonna name no names. But it's like sometimes I go to places and when people do specific signs and people will be like, Why is this sign always rough? Why is it always bad for that sign? Well, if you resonate with these readings, why ain't you on your ish and fixing and healing the things that you need to fix and heal for you to get a better reading? Like, don't blame the reader, don't blame the cards. This is your situation, this is your life and your energy. When are you going to take charge and get down in the mud, get down and dirty and do the work and do the healing so that you ain't always getting bad news? Like, if you're not doing anything, if nothing is happening, you're going to keep getting the same thing. Like, hello, like, no, y'all go somewhere else. Y'all ain't even here, so it ain't my problem. It ain't my problem. Let me stop. But I just like, I look at stuff like that and I'm like, because it's almost that energy of like, you know, whenever someone like tries to brag about something, but it makes them look worse, and you're like, why are you bragging about this? Like, if I was constantly getting bad readings, not that I necessarily got to hide anything, but if I was constantly getting bad readings, you wouldn't hear me saying like, why are my readings always negative? Why are my readings always bad? Because in my mind, that's like, well, what are you doing to keep getting this? Because you ain't changing the energy. So, like, what are you doing over there that you keep getting bad readings? I mean, it's a journey. And that's what came out today in the higher perspective. It's a journey. It's a journey. I mean, low key, I got into reading so that I would cry. High key. That's why I bought my first deck. And I was like, I want to cry. And every time I pull out the cards and I'm like, make me cry, they do. So, and then I was like, one time I was joking and I was like, and then I was like, ooh. And they was like, well, you said make you cry. So we did. But because it's like, it's the stuff that's hardest to recognize and the stuff that's hardest to get through is the stuff that I want to be eliminated. Right. Because like, if everything is good, honestly, it's the energy of like, if everything is good, what do I need information on? Right. Like, if life was amazing and fantastic, not saying that my life isn't, but if it was, I would just be out like living it. I wouldn't be going to somebody else. So, like, the fact that you're seeking that out in the first place kind of sort of implies an inherent not goodness, depending on, especially depending on the type of readings that you're sort of looking at or looking for. Right. But yeah. But we're gonna talk about Bina before this headache take me out the game. My body like food. Oh wait, hold up. This video is not sponsored by Meyer, but I got a few nuts down here. I was eating nuts and cheese today. Nuts and pepper jack cheese. Because my body was like upset with me. I got a pizza from Little Caesars the other day. I finally tried the Popeyes chicken sandwich. I'm not proud, but the mess is good. I'm not gonna lie. The chicken sandwich is like bomb. And it's like $5 almost, but it's worth it. And I've had two of them within the past week, I believe. And a pizza from Little Caesars and like McDonald's the other day. And my body does not like it. And so when I did it one day, it was fine. When I did it 2 days, my body was like, and when I'm eating it, I don't feel great. But, you know, my body doesn't reject it after I'm done. But I had a little bit of broccoli salad last night. And when I woke up this morning, my body was like, get all that garbage out of me. Don't put nothing else in me. I need a reset. And then after I'm done resetting, you can have nuts and cheese and your oranges. And so I had nuts and cheese, and then I snuck a few cookies, but that's a different story. And my body doesn't process sugar the way that it used to either. It's like my body, like, why you gotta get all bougie? Like, It's one of the things that I did not expect when I started like meditating and getting my mind right. I guess it is like a mind body connection, but like sometimes now my body is like not too much sugar, not too much processed food, no artificial spice like them hot Cheetos that you used to like. Nope, can't do them at all no more. Don't eat too fast either. Slow down. And it's not like I'm inhaling my food, but it's like I gotta eat extra slow. And I'm like, man, body. But my body is like, yeah, you done neglected me for 20 how many years now? You gonna listen to me. You're gonna listen to me. Because they call it mind, body, spirit connection for a reason. And neglecting the body is neglecting parts of the mind and neglecting parts of the spirit. Now, I ain't saying you gotta go full vegan, but I'm gonna need you to take better care of me. And I'm like, okay, you know what? You're right. So that's where I am with my body now. I should thank my body for letting me eat the McDonald's and the Little Caesars and the Popeyes because last time I got McDonald's after a while, my body didn't like it and I was upset because I was like, it's cheap. And the hot and spicy McChickens are good. I like spicy food. So, I was craving it a little bit. My body said, okay, you can have one day. And then one day became like 4 to 5 days. So this is all about my journey. This is our journey. I talk about my life and you get cards sometimes in between. And I said this started like half an hour ago. I ain't even read the first card yet. It is what it is, and I am who I am. If you don't like it, feel free to leave. Feel free to click off. Feel free to watch somebody that you actually like, because life is too short for you to watch me if I don't resonate and if you don't like me. Like, you know, get some actual guidance if you get it elsewhere. I won't take it personally. All right, Bina, left eye, knowledge. The third emanation, a flow of light that pours into the world, a candle whose flame may light another without diminishing its own. Bina seeks not only creation, but purpose. She is a flare of pure intent that blossoms from the heart of existence and out into the world. Her energy brings with it a desire for knowledge. She is the force that churns all the potential from higher emanations into a form that can be received by our consciousness, sorry. The white orb illuminates the way forward. Bina sits atop the pillar of severity, heading the heading the feminine aspect of the diagram, creating a perfect balance with Chakma at her side. Together, they represent a continuation of psychic understanding. While Bina represents the power of knowing, Chakma reveals the power of not knowing. One acts as a vessel, as the other fills that vessel, giving it purpose. Bina can be found in learning, shared experience, and creation. Emphasis on the shared experience when we're talking about like Gemini, North Node and Gemini shared experiences. Potentially, because like Gemini is also third house that like rules like the local sort of surroundings. I don't like that. Oh gosh. I feel like the shadow side of Gemini North Node might be kind of sort of us versus them energy. And I almost got that feeling. But then I was like, no, that would be like Sagittarius North Node, right? Not Sagittarius South Node. I just hope that we don't reach that us versus them state of being. Especially, it's like we receive, I don't follow the news, but I get bits and pieces of it. And it's like there are so many countries doing so much for other countries right now, which is really beautiful. But I feel like we almost don't talk about that enough. I feel like that's not enough of a talking point where we can appreciate what other people do for us. Because I feel like some people can be the first people to be like, well, like, why are we doing this and why are we doing that? When in reality, if we're helping somebody else in the past, it seems to have been the energy of us, like, what are we going to get out of it? It's like not necessarily the kindest of hearts, very advantageous, extremely advantageous, is my sort of uninformed opinion of the way we do politics. But when all of these other people are assisting us, like we're like, let's give credit where credit is due, and let's not get into that us versus them kind of sort of mentality, because especially right now and kind of sort of in general, we rely on other people a little bit too much. Like the whole world, we've come to this. I feel like the sun. What planet is that? I don't know what planet of the world that is, but there's this Sagittarian, Pluto and Sagittarius maybe for the world. I almost had this idea to run a birth chart for Earth and to like guess at placements and then see if like there's some kind of calculator where I can like, I don't know what idea I was thinking of. I was just like, I want to guess at the energy of this certain sort of like thing and then try to run the chart back to see when the last time these placements were held by those planets all at the same time. It was a weird idea. I don't know. Collective is having a Uranus return. Africa and China not getting along. Girl, it's like at the point where we need to be coming the most together, where we're all affected, and we're in this space where we are so globally dependent on other people. Now is not the time to be isolationist or to be like us versus them. But I mean, we'll see how it plays out. So Bina is all about creation. Bina is almost kind of sort of like the birthplace of creation. And then we have this annihilation here. And when I hold these two cards up together, y'all, when I hold these two cards up together, oops, sorry. Look at this. They are standing off. Bina, the mother of all creation, left eye of knowledge, standing against Hasmed, the angel of annihilation. Hasmed is standing against Bina because Bina is just doing what she's doing. Hasmed is like, all right, it's time for me to come in and it's time for me to wreck some stuff. I'm like, really, Hasmed? Like, can you please, like, not? Please, no. Can you please, like, not? I'm so over it. Why can't we all just love each other? I wish I could, like, I wish things could go back to the way that they used to be, and I could bake a cake of sunshine and rainbows. And I've seen the movie a few times, but I don't know the line. But then somebody in the back, and you know what the gag is of that whole scene is Damien called old girl out. He was like, she doesn't even go here, and he wasn't even supposed to be there. Somebody who wasn't even supposed to be in the assembly in the first place called out somebody else who wasn't supposed to be there, and she got kicked out. Did y'all catch that shade? Because I was like, wow, Damien, you really gonna get her kicked out when you ain't supposed to be in here either, my dude? Like, for real? That's how messy some people do. That's how messy some people be, though. Like, she doesn't even go here. And I would have been like, okay, well, and this is an all-female assembly, and you identify as male, and you ain't even supposed to be in here either. So if I'm getting escorted out, we both getting escorted out. Let's go together. Come on, let's go. Since you want to try to call me out, when all I'm trying to do is bring love and light into this situation and to get us to where we used to be. When I'm trying to bring in peace. But you so drama thirsty, money hungry, advantageous, can't sit with no peace because you ain't got no peace within yourself. No, you thrive on this chaos. If I'm getting escorted out, we going out together. Let's go, Damien. Let's go. Shall we exit? After you, I'll hold the door. Kind sir. Girl, I would have went all the way off. Let me stop. California is having the Uranus return, not collective. Yeah, I remember that in the video. Oh, California. California is having its US return. I just read collective, girl. I was like, I remember from the video of the fires that California is. Girl, Damien a whole mess. He a whole mess. Like, she was just up there, like, literally trying to bring everybody together. And he got to call her out like that. She doesn't even go here. Mm, you know what? I'm over Damien's. Let me stop. Some people just be so like, oh, the tea, the tea. I'm like, but like, what about peace? What about love? What about serenity? What about like, us moving together as a united collective and making this world everything that people 50 years ago thought the world would be now. Like, we can't get no flying cars or clean electricity or whatever because people are too busy taking advantage of other people and keeping those systems of power in place to keep reaping the money off of it. And is the money that you get from them systems really worth the like earth that you're destroying? Like, for real, is it really worth it? It's like, okay, whatever. Y'all priorities are all kinds of messed up, but it's fine. Mama Earth said y'all's gonna learn. All right. I love that name. I do too. Damien, like, it's a pretty cool name. Yeah, your son's name is Damien. I know that. That was a Damian, Damien, though. I believe in the movie his name was spelled with an A. So that AN, again, annihilate, AN, annihilate, you know? He's an AN Damien. Yeah, yeah, there we go. Ooh. Now I kind of want to look it up though. I think that dude came out like way after the movie was done. Hey Siri, who plays Damien in Mean Girls?
Okay, I found this on the web for who plays Damien in Mean Girls. Check it out.
Yeah, Damian Lee. It is AN, Damian. He's an AN Damien, so we got to draw the line between the AN Damians and the EN Damians. Them AN Damians ain't oosh. Let me stop. If you're a Damien and you watch this video and you're offended, this channeling for you. Keep it moving. Let me stop. I'm just playing. I'm kidding. I'm sorry. It's a joke. It's jokes. Apparently, I got jokes today and I'm trying to be funny. That's because I'm hangry. I'm a Taurus and I'm hangry. Don't blame me. Blame the lack of food in my belly. Now that my belly is, hopefully, it let me eat today because earlier it was acting like it didn't want to. Hasmed, Angel of Annihilation. The Unmaker. The Unmaker. This is 12th house energy. And knowledge would be ninth house energy. So that's a square. We have this sort of like Sagittarius Pisces energetic square. Jupiter. Jupiter, the planet of expansion, of good fortune, of joviality, jovialness, of lightheartedness and good fortune. Oh gosh. Okay. Wow. A terrible sight to behold. The void, the void eating itself. Whoa. So Hasmed, the angel of annihilation, the unmaker, a terrible sight to behold, the void eating itself and making itself anew. That which should be no longer that which should no longer exist is unmade by Hasmed's hands. Oh, there is something that needs to be removed. Look upon that which should not be and loose it from existence. Signs, a hood, an eclipse, and an empty field. Girl, when is that eclipse? When is the next eclipse? Because I think it's coming up. Hey Siri, when is the next eclipse?
20th solar eclipse is on Sunday, June 21st.
June 21st. And that's Cancer season, isn't it? Cancer and Capricorn just came out. A sign is the eclipse. And I believe Venus goes direct somewhere around then, too. Let me look that up real quick, because when does Venus go direct? Oh my gosh. So I actually see, okay, I take it back. I apologize. I should have known. So he unmakes things that should not exist. And there are a lot of things that should not exist right now. So I projected the worst just because he's the angel of annihilation, just like I was saying about, and again, So in daily upload number 10, Thanatos came out in pile 3. And I was talking about how Thanatos is the death of everything. So not even the death of like a living creature, but the death of an idea, the death of an ideal, the death of a system, the death of an institution, the death of fears and the death of anxiety, the death of dreams and the death of hopes. It's the death of all of that. And not everything needs to continue on into the future. So Hasmet is going to come in and help us clean it up. Okay, so that's better. 12th house, my nemesis for now with these alignments. When Water Baby said anyone with Aquarius and Taurus and 12th house would feel it right now. Oof. All I hear is Thanos. That's all it take. Like Hasmet gonna walk in like, you know what? I'm done. Boom. And let's move on into that brighter, happier future where, we can ditch all of the stuff from the past that doesn't work, that keeps us divided and separate instead of like coming together or like, let's do that. Like let her back into the room. Cause even though she don't go here, she has a message that all of y'all need to hear right now. Damien. A-N Damien. Goodness. Okay, let me stop. I don't know. I've never something about that. I'm just like, hold up, wait. He ain't right for that because he wasn't supposed to be in there either. And she is trying to make the best out of a bad situation and bring everybody together. And one of the worst parts of that scene is like, it seems like she was almost winning them over. Like they were almost calming down and like listening to her actually. And then Damien's like, oh, she doesn't even go here. It's like, okay. But Damien was in the assembly for the mess anyway. That's why he was there. So, I mean, whatever. I'm in here talking about Mean Girls now, apparently. Talking about Mean Girls in my body. The eclipse. Oh, I'm looking to see when Venus goes direct. Sorry, I forgot. For anyone curious, the moon is now in Leo. The moon is 1 degree in Leo. Is it? So the moon is opposing Saturn right now because Saturn is still 1 degree in Aquarius. The moon is opposing Saturn. And is it squaring anything? There's nothing in Scorpio. And Mercury is 4 degrees Taurus now. So the moon will be squaring Mercury in a hot second. But yeah, the moon is opposing Saturn right now, but we're all going to be going to sleep fairly soon. And then when we wake up, the moon will be like 10 degrees or something, right? Has the moon gotten slower? Because I'm watching transits now. And I'm like, I feel like the moon used to transit faster than this. Maybe not. But when I look at transits, it's like, I thought the moon used to transit faster than this. I don't know. Oh, you thought you were the only one, like, why is he here? I mean, I was always just like, I accepted the fact that he was there because, I mean, Damien was a little messy. Not like messy, but, he can't pass up on no tea. And, like, honestly, he was involved in the plot the whole time. So it was kind of sort of fitting that he was there, even though he wasn't supposed to be, because he was involved from the beginning. But yeah. I mean, I think the ending was happy because they all found a space that they were supposed to be in. They found a space that was a little healthier for them where they can authentically be themselves because when they were all together, it was like they played being together for the sake of being together because they all were like whatever. But like when Gretchen said that she couldn't wear the hoop earrings, when Regina was always talking about Karen, like the dynamic when they were together wasn't that great. And so they honestly, like, they needed to be busted up to be in a situation that was more catered to their own sort of like Like that is an example of like Cancer North Node, Capricorn South Node, because they had established a certain amount of prestige and reputation together, but it was time for that old foundation to fall, and it was time for them to find the spaces that they were actually meant to be in, spaces that felt like home that they could call home. And then even at the end of the movie, I feel like, when somebody looked over to somebody else and like gave a wink or whatever, I feel like it's not like they completely forgot about each other, but they found their places. So yeah, a mutual respect, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's what I'd say. Now I'm gonna look and see when Venus goes direct. I love this app. I've been got like two or three of the little $4 um, add-ons, but I honestly use this app so much that I don't mind donating. Not that I donate it because I got extra features, but um, you know what I mean. Girl, I'm afraid you shouldn't say those things. I'm trying to get inside of your brain to see if you can work me the way you say. Why did promiscuous girl just pop into my head? Okay, so Venus goes direct on June 25th. So Venus goes direct approximately like 4 days after that eclipse, which is interesting still. So Hasmed is going to come and it's going to annihilate the things that no longer deserve to be there. And actually, that energy of Hasmed coming to annihilate the things that doesn't belong there anymore is that 12th house energy. Because I don't remember when I said it, but I was like, there's almost this space of like, globally, what's happening is something that we've been subconsciously wishing for with our hearts. And the way that that wish is coming about is in a very chaotic and sort of disruptive way, but it has to happen that way. It's almost like it has to be that extreme to give us the best possible chance of waking up, right? Because the darker the night, the brighter the dawn. And so that's very like 12th house Hasmed energy. And it's playing out in a way that is like very annihilatory, but it's taking out things that no longer serve and that shouldn't be there anymore. So I apologize to Hasmed. He's just doing his job. Hasmed is like, look at here, dude. I'm doing you a favor. Okay? Let's not forget. Don't project yo whatever fear on me. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. So I'm going to take this bag. Oh my gosh, girl. These are the gray dice, I think. I think these are the gray ones. Oh no, they're the green ones. Oh, I was so afraid that these would be the gray dice. So we're going to end with the dice for the heart chakra. So we started with the green, and the last pair I'm going to roll is the green. So that's interesting. That's fun. This would happen to someone like me with Aquarius and the 12 connected to God, knows who and what. Oof. No, it's Pisces. I'll take that back. I was going to say I have Aquarius cusping my 12th house, but no. My 12th house is ruled by Pisces. I have Aquarius in my 11th. But I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, there are certain things that, in some ways, there are certain things that only have as much power over us as we allow them to. And whenever you get into the energy of looking at something and kind of sort of the worst case scenario, it's going to hit you in the worst ways because that's what you're leaving. Not only is that what you're manifesting, but that's also what you're leaving yourself open to. So that statement that you just typed right there is probably setting yourself up for things that you don't actually want. So you might want to clean that up a little bit. You might want to clean it up a little bit. Just like just like manifest something different with your words and you know, because you can try to block it all, but if you're manifesting it all, then you know. Number 8. Oh, 77, 888, and 11. I'm keeping a tab, y'all. Hey, at least it didn't give me whatever the last one is. Okay, let's go again. Number 4. That's the one I just got. I just got number 4. So 77, 888, 11, and 44. I'm just keeping tabs for I don't know why. Oh, girl, I told you. Look at that. You see that? Number two. I told you number two was gonna come out next. I told you number two was gonna come out next. I told you. I told you, Miyoshi. And when you see this deck, you're gonna know exactly why number two came out after the Angelarium. It's because the Angelarium and this deck always come out together. This is the Damon Tarot. They always come out together. It's always one right after the other one. Every single time. Every single time. And that's why I was like, if you've been watching for a minute, you know what's coming next. And it did. Did I manifest it? Do it matter? Because I was right. Let me stop. Goodness. Oh, I only read these up right, I believe. And they're not all bad. If this is something that you can't rock with, then click off. I like to say they fail so you don't have to. Heed their advice, heed their warnings, don't repeat their mistakes, learn from them. Also, at the same time, some of these are just like cultural deities from non-Christian, non-Judeo-Christian cultures, right? That were demonized at the rise of Christianity. It's like, oh, you have you're of this tribe and you have this god that makes everyone smile and laugh and brings joy to everyone. Well, that's a demon because that's not Jesus. And it wasn't even Jesus at the point. It's like that's a demon because it's not God. There's one God, and everything that ain't that God is a demon. And it's like, really, like people can't have their own beliefs. Like you got to turn their greatest of gods and most kind and benevolent of gods into demons just because it don't fit the narrative that you're pushing. And another thing that I hear this narrative or I hear this story about how like the age of Pisces, and I'm not trying to call nobody out, but I feel like it's this sort of sentiment that's kind of sort of parroted by a lot of people. And it's just the space of like, you know, we experience these energies, but we don't experience them in the higher vibrations. We choose through our actions and through our thoughts to manifest the worst possible case experiences with some of these energies. And then we blame the energies instead of ourselves for being in the space to attract that, because energies are so vast and dynamic. Like an energy has a polarity. So if you attract the lower end of the pole, like that, it ain't the energy fault that you didn't attract the higher end of that spectrum. Like it's the energy's fault that, because like people like, oh, the age of Pisces was super like religious, and that's why we had like all these wars, and that's why like so many people have died in the name of this god and that god. And it's like, no, because if people would have listened to the messages, they would have known to love each other. It's like if I individually go, if I know 15 people, I don't know why it's always 15 people, but if I have 15 people and I tell every person, hey, like everybody, you know, just do your best to get along with everybody. If I tell 15 different people to get along with everybody, you would think that all of those 15 people would just get along with the other people instead of being like, well, he told me this and you're wrong. And it's like, but like I told you to get along. I told you to love each other. How is it my fault? How is it the energy of the age of Pisces fault that back when we didn't have cell phones, back when the world wasn't connected, all of these different people all over the world all got the message of love each other, try to be a decent person. But for some reason, like Ben, in people's minds, we twist it into like, you're wrong, I'm right, you have to believe what I believe. And then like if you don't, then catch these hands. When it's like if I was upstairs, I'd be like, oh my gosh, like what are they doing? Like I like did they not like get the message that to like love each other? Like, and because in my mind growing up, I'm like, it doesn't make sense in my mind for there to be one person, one quote unquote messiah for the whole world. So all of the people who weren't in that part of the world, they just like doomed to be uninformed and undelivered and just like ignorant, because like we ain't have Wi-Fi and cell phones and emails and TV and stuff back then. So this one specific people out of everyone gets the truth. But then when you look at it, a lot of the truths are similar. That's one thing that irritated me. And talking about the age of Pisces, like it was bad because, you know, we tried to get all these different organized religions to be like, hey, like, you know, love each other, like spread peace. And then everybody want to be A.N. Damians. They don't even go here. 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 I'm like, really, Damien? See, that's what I'm telling you, A.N. Damians, they're getting on my nerves tonight. And people are looking at the age of Aquarius as if the age of Aquarius is going to be some kind of miracle solution. But if people don't change, it's going to be the exact same thing. Just because the clock strike midnight on New Year's Eve, if you're not dedicated to seeing your New Year's resolutions made manifest, girl, you ain't gonna do them this year, just like you ain't doing last year or the year before, the year before, the year before. And like, yes, at the start, when you refresh, it's an excellent opportunity to embody that energy and to renew your dedication to doing it. But if you're not gonna see it through to the long haul, if you ain't on the Beaver spirit side, if you a swan in reverse, then girl, like, it's gonna be the exact same story. And then we're gonna be talking about the age of what? Capricorn? The age of Capricorn as bringing us everything that the age of Aquarius didn't give us. Is that a thing? Do you progress backwards to the ages? Because the age of Capricorn in my mind does not sound fun. The age of oh goodness. Let me stop. Because Capricorn ain't all bad. Capricorn got some good to it too, but I'm just like, people really try to be blaming energies for attracting manifest for living in the shadow. You're gonna blame the energy because you're living in the shadow, and you're gonna blame the energy because y'all weren't together enough to know that, hey, if I tell you to love somebody else, like, love them. Oh, them A.N. Damians, just, I'm not feeling it today. I'm all heated today. I'm sorry. Maybe I should have stopped shuffling. Okay. This is the kind of content that you get over here when I'm in my North Node Sagittarius, Chiron and Leo, and Venus and Aries. I just get heated because I'm like if you take a second to like actually think about this, if y'all would have did it the right way, like we'd be in a much better place. And people who are so advantageous and like devoutly religious, but still so like morally corrupt and morally bankrupt, it's like, blaming the age of Pisces because people ain't together, really? Okay, whatever. I'm just over it at this point. Maybe I shouldn't be reading. Maybe I should stop. Because I'm just like really over it. Okay, I got 3. Bottom of the deck is Ranov. What is this? Who's this? Ranov, also transcribed as Ronway, is a Marquis of Hill whose appearance is simply described by demonologists as monstrous. He is a gifted speaker and command of 19 military units. Girl. I'm tired of gifted speakers, and I'm tired of charismatic people who just can convince those with malleable minds to just commit atrocities, and they efficiently or effective, like they effectively sell their souls by listening to these people who get them to commit these heinous acts. And it's like, man, like really, like y'all just, oof. I mean, you just don't completely disregard anything that would have made you redeemable. And it's very like, because I played Dante's Inferno, and the Catholic priest or whoever, the Pope or whatever, at the time of the Crusades was like, if you kill others and if you do this in the name of whatever, then all of your sins will be forgiven. And then Dante goes to hell, and Dante's like, I thought I was gonna be forgiven. And the people in hell was like, girl, like, did you really think that you would be forgiven for all of them atrocities because some dude in a white robe told you that you would be? If you was his henchman and his lackey and you did what he said, like, you really thought that you would get forgiveness for the heinous atrocities that you've committed against others. People are, oh my gosh, I'm not even going to talk about it no more. I'm just all kinds of bent out of shape because people are really that malleable. Really, just that. It's tragic. It's honestly tragic. But it is what it is, I guess. Shoot. This is the kind of content you get at my channel. Let me stop. Okay. So, let the fire burn, Miyoshi. Calm down. I've gotten this card before, and this is a very interesting card. I haven't gotten this one before, or this one. Oh wait, I've seen Piedmont. I've heard Piedmont before, but I've never gotten it. That's 3 cards I've never gotten before. We're gonna start with, it starts with an M. Marcosius. Marcosius. Oh, open this Cerberus. Marcosius. People think Marcosius a fool. Marcosius be like, you know what? Y'all ain't gotta believe me, cause I know what's happening. Marcosius know what's up. Marcosius, honestly, like low key, Marcosius kind of carries the agent of like the energy of like a double agent or like a spy or something like that. I was like, oh snap, they got angels going deep undercover. So the inspiration for Marcosius says, like the demon Balin, see page 29, Marcosius was once one of the heavenly order of dominions, a rank above the order of virtues in the celestial hierarchy. There are many fallen angels, and where's pseudo demon? Pseudo monarchia daemonum, pseudo monarchia daemonum, and most seem to have adapted to their underworld positions with grace. But Marcosius is alone in asserting that he will one day return to his previous position in heaven, despite all evidence to the contrary. He will obey commands when summoned, but has taken no interest in cultivating any areas of expertise, even for the good of others. Instead, Marcosius is simply biding his time, waiting for a day that will likely never come. The divination for this is beware of false hopes, knowing something is impossible and striving for it. Uh, Knowing something is impossible and striving for it anyway can take energy that could be used for another goal or for attainable goals. So this is the energy of like, don't chase after nothing that's never gonna happen, blah blah blah. But I don't know, for some reason when I read it, I was like, I feel like Marcosius knows something that don't nobody else know. Because I feel like you can't be that convinced that you're gonna return to your post one day if like it's not gonna happen. And it's like, even when he failed, he like didn't really adapt to his position. He never like picked up an area of expertise. He's just like waiting for the day that he rises again. And that, what is that? I feel like I was talking about something along those lines earlier, but I don't remember, and my head is starting to hurt. Where's some water? Let me get some more water. 1 second. I used to like cold water, but now I prefer room temperature water. Oof. What was I talking about? But I don't know. For some reason, I feel like, and it almost gives me like Ragnarok-y type vibes. And it's like when that all-out war between, supposed to drink it at room temperature. Yeah, that's what people say. I've heard it. I've heard from a lot of people that one of the biggest cultural shocks, or one of the biggest culture shocks when they come to America, is actually cold water. because we're like one of the few places where people drink it cold. It's like not even just like room temperature, because some people drink a lot of like hot water or like boiling water or like room temperature at the least. But like they're like, yeah, cold water is so weird. I was like, what? I never would have thought of that because I've had cold water all my life. But it's like when things go south and when that war breaks out, it's like he's gonna switch sides at the last moment, or he's gonna perform this act that is so heroic that's gonna redeem him. Now again, it may just be like, nonsense. But I read that, and for some reason, I'm just like, hey, maybe he know what's up. Maybe he had like a little chit chat behind the scenes meeting with like Metatron, right? And Metatron was like, hey, this is how it's all laid out. There's gonna be, it's like the energy of like Hercules when Hades is like frees the Titans and tries to go take down Olympus, and the fates are like, should Hercules fight, you will fail. And like Hercules was this like out of the blue, had just been born, like problem that he didn't even know he had to worry about, that he thought was taken care of. But then, here comes Hercules at the end of the day. And then Hercules ultimately at the end of the day, even though he was made mortal, he reclaimed his godhood. Maybe that's why I like try to believe in Marcosius. Like maybe he knows what's up. Maybe he is gonna earn his wings back. Because Hercules is one of the movies that I watch the most. And like I subconsciously formed this when I was reading it, I subconsciously formed this link between like Marcosius and Hercules when Hercules becomes a god again at the end of the movie. Um, maybe that's it. Maybe that's why. I don't know. But the card said, don't pursue something unattainable, redirect that energy. But I'm just feeling it as like if you know something deep within your spirit, deep within your soul as truth, even if other people in your surroundings don't see it coming to be, because they only see you as your past and as your present rather than your potential. In my mind, I don't know. I still disagree with the book, so I'm sorry. Um, but again, that's like that ain't a maybe. That's just like you like know on a very, very, very deep level because it is so ever pervasive, that truth. Like if you got to question it, if you have your doubts and your worries, it may not be it. And even if you don't, it might still not be it. But if it ain't it, it's like be prepared to be like gagged. Like I saw this music video today and I was gagged. I'm getting so psychic. After I just said I'll never say I'm psychic, right? Not psychic, just like intuitive. I'm watching this music video and it's basically like this girl singing and getting a haircut. And I was like, are those extensions? And I was like, it's so weird that I'm asking if those are extensions when she's just getting a haircut. At the end of the video, dude snatches her wig off with the slow reveal and then puts it on his own head. And I was like, oh, it was a wig. It was a wig. And here I thought it was just some extensions. So I was on the right track, even though it didn't look like a wig, necessarily. But I was just like, are those extensions? And then he pulled that wig off. I was like, oh, gags. All right, next. Let me try to speed this up again because I'm already at 3 hours. I ain't even gonna read this name. I'm not even reading his name, but next is this dude. And the reason why I ain't gonna read this name is because it sounds too close to some other word that I ain't even trying to get close to saying on my channel, even though I am of a melanated complexion. I ain't even going there. Ain't even going there. But I'll show y'all the card, I guess. This is the card. That's his name. you know. If you real lazy when you speak, it may sound like something else, and I ain't got time to be causing no drama. So this one says the inspiration, although in some folk tales. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. It's not a specific person, it's a class of whatever spirits, I guess. Although in some folk tales these beings rescue drowning children or give safe passage across the water. Far more stories focus on their ability to lure sailors into rocks or rapids, much like the mythology associated with the sirens, and to cause great tempests, okay, whirlpools, and storms. However, sailing, fishing, and exploration were very important parts of human life. And so the risks of confronting one of these on a voyage had to be weighed against the benefits of fresh food and new discoveries. Sailors took all possible precautions against the mischievous or evil water demons they might encounter, and all were cautioned to be humble and thankful to any good or helpful ones. But ships continued to sail the rivers and oceans of the old world despite the dangers that these might offer. The divination is focus on taking necessary precautions and respecting powerful outside influences. Okay. I feel like this is kind of sort of similar, but not at the same time. Oh my gosh. And my eyes are starting to hurt. I've been on here too long. Man, this head is really starting to hurt. You know what? Let's just bust this crown chakra open. If my head just like open right now, if my head opened right now, I would be freaked out. And then this beam of light just coming in. It's like I see all and I am at one with everything. Girl, leave him alone. He playing games, and ultimately at the end of the day, he don't too much want you. And then it closed. I'm like, okay, who else got a love question? Let me stop. Let me stop. Let me stop. Oh, here we go. So yeah, with that one, how do you go from like rescuing children and giving safe passage? See, that's just disrespect. And that's what I was talking about. Your right eye is itchy. Oh snap. Um that's kind of sort of what I was talking about when it comes to the age of Pisces. It's like we like to blame certain energies instead of taking responsibility for ourselves. And so I feel like that's almost the energy of like someone being real reckless with these with whoever has a certain amount of influence over their lives, being like real reckless and like real loose at with the mouth or loose at the mouth. And it's the energy of like it's like you come into someone else's domain seeking passage in the realm that they have control over, and you show them disrespect and you expect for them to still keep you in good like standing and still allow you safe passage when you come in real rude. Like, how does that work? It's like if you want to act like, and I feel like that's the energy of like, it's just a judgment energy that it brings me back to a judgment because it's like you want to make these choices and these decisions. Like I was saying about like people kind of sort of selling their souls in a way just by committing these heinous crimes being led by whoever they're being led by, and then now you're creating just all of this stuff that you kind of sort of can't really answer for, but it's like you want to be so swayed and so led by whatever sounds pretty or whatever, because at the bottom of the deck again was the dude who was a great speaker and in charge of a certain military power. I just feel like that's the ability to like whip people up into a frenzy and get other people to do your dirty work. Like if you've ever seen Little Nicky, which is one of my favorite Adam Sandler movies, it's like old school Adam Sandler. It's the only movie I own on like Amazon Prime Instant Video because if I would have got it on iTunes, I would have never been able to watch it on a TV because I can't hook my phone up to a TV unless it's an Apple TV. because it's dumb and I should have just got an Android, but that's not the point. But it's like you have these like literal like demons like possessing, like one of them possessed the Pope and the other one possessed like the mayor of the city or something like that. And they're telling people, oh, you don't have to do this and you don't have to do that. And like nothing happens. And then the people get convinced. And so the whole town goes to crap. And then at the end of the movie, it's revealed that um, they are who they are. And those people are like, wait, I thought you said like this didn't matter. And then the dude is like, yeah, thanks for your souls, idiots. Like, of course it matters. And then everybody is shook. And I'm like, oh my gosh. It's very that energy. Like, you're listening to these people doing things that are just ugly. Just ugly. Like, where's the love, sis? Where's the love, bro? Like, where's the love? What's that song? Where is the love? You know? Like, where is it? And then I feel like I don't have to get that deep into it. But it's just like if you acting without love and if you're taking advantage of people and if you're doing this and if you're doing that, it's just like don't be surprised when your karma comes back around. Like this is what this is telling me. Like don't be surprised when your karma comes back around. And maybe this is the energy of someone who is going against the grain, someone who isn't doing what everyone else is doing to sort of make it. And that's the energy of like, well, if you want to make it in Hollywood, then you got to do this. And that person's like, no, I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to compromise myself. And watch, at the end of the day, I'm still going to be a star. I'm still going to be a celebrity. And at the end of the day, like, I'm going to be intact because I didn't compromise myself. And when the hammer goes down and when justice starts raining from above and when judgment day comes, your empire is going to crumble. So enjoy it while you have it, I guess. But don't be mad, don't be sad when the day of reckoning comes. Like that's very that Marcosius into that energy. And then we're leaving out with Paimon. And the inspiration for this one is Paimon's area of expertise are many. He is knowledgeable in the arts and summoned. What? What? Wait, what? He is knowledgeable. He is knowledgeable in the arts and summoned. He is preceded first by a line of trumpeters to announce his appearance. Girl, what? Followed by a line of those under his command. Then a clang of cymbals and other musical instruments. And finally, he will appear riding his camel very slowly into view. After that grand entrance, he is very arrogant and loud, and it may take some time for the summoner to attract his undivided attention, to pose questions or requests. However, Paimon is very knowledgeable, and it is perhaps understandable that he manifests in such an ostentatious manner out of missing the glory of his former heavenly incarnation. If you can bear with his admittedly long winded and abrasive entrance, his gifts can be worth the time and effort. The divination for this is beware of unfavorable first impressions. Many intelligent and knowledgeable individuals are awkward or abrasive at first as a defense mechanism. One should watch for those actions within oneself. So this is like telling you to be wary of your own sort of ostentatious nature. Am I acting a little like whatever today? A little preachy? Maybe I am, and it is what it is. I feel like that's Sagittarius South Node energy though. High key. That's the energy of Sagittarius. No shade to any Sagittariuses, but that's the energy of Sagittarius. That's the scholar, that's the sage, that's the man who is praised for his knowledge. And whenever he goes something, he's going to make sure that you know he is a man of importance. And you're going to have to put up with a lot of just like before you get the answer that you want. And I got a lot of Jupiter in my chart. My North Node is in Sagittarius, so I can be a little Sagittarian too. So, let me like the card said, sometimes you gotta call it on yourself. But I don't know. I just be like, beware of anyone seeking status or beware of anyone with status. Beware of anyone who would come and offer you a solution in which they have a stake, right? And it reminds me, like, there was a hot minute when I was seeing those robo killer ads all over YouTube. And the dude is on the ad like, yeah, I had 1 hour to write this program that can call all of these phones from a single mass number. And I'm like, the way you're marketing yourself right now to me makes it seem like you are the person behind the robocalls in the first place. And then it's almost the energy of like, we'll create a problem to sell our solution because we have this thing that people don't need right now. But in order for people to buy it, they have to need it. So we're going to make people need it and then we're going to sell it to them. Because I'm like, in 1 hour, not that it's necessarily difficult, whether it's difficult or not, but you're telling me that in 1 hour you managed to recreate the problem and you have a solution to the problem at the same time. Like, you selling me termites to then sell me lumber later. Like I'll just pass on the termites, thank you, and I'll keep the wood that I already have. Like, hello? It's kind of sort of that energy. So I'd say beware of someone who presents a solution when they could be very well likely the person who came up with the problem. I mean, but honestly, at the end of the day, if you have a problem, then you need the solution. So once it becomes a problem, you kind of sort of still need the solution. So that's why I don't like that. But that is what it is. And I'm not going to roll the dice for this one. I may not even pull no cards after this because I'm just like, you know what? I've been on here for too long and I'm trying to get some of this chili before I get any colder. And my head is starting to hurt. So thank y'all for sticking with me. I think I may move on from the Magical Dimensions Oracle cards tomorrow, but maybe not. Especially not after today, because I feel like the last two times I used these, the messages were kind of sort of positive. And so, what card was that? What is this? It's not Oneness. I get this card. I've seen this card before. I think it's the one that says Divine Feminine. It's not Priestess, though, is it? Forgiveness. That's what it is. Forgiveness came out, which is Redemption, Rebirth, and Regeneration, number 16. I'm using the Magical Dimensions. Oh, let me put down the timestamp. I'll say this is about 3 hours and 7 minutes. I don't think I timestamped that last one. I didn't. I'll find it somewhere. I'm going to say timestamps are roughly appropriate. I'm not doing roughly approximate anymore because I said I was going to put in a little bit more effort onto this channel. So I got to do that. So we got forgiveness and then liberation, which is 26. This is power, fulfillment, and self-attainment. And then I'm going to pull card number 10 because the difference between 16 and 26 is 10, and I'm going to put that in between. So this is where I exercise some of my own authority and power using my connection. Ooh, and then 18 followed by 28. So that's another difference to 10. Here it is, number 10, Dreamscape. Okay. Dreamscape is dream work, subconscious, and imagination. So we have forgiveness, dreamscape, and liberation. And I'm actually going to pull another card too, because it feels like there may be something missing here still. Let's see. What's the third card? There we go. Oops. Emotional freedom. All right, that makes more sense. Emotional freedom just came out, and emotional freedom is 28. No, emotional freedom is 12. So forgiveness, emotional freedom, and then liberation, or forgiveness, liberation, emotional freedom. The last two are kind of sort of interchangeable. And I feel like I'm not even going to read the book on these. I'm going to say that there's a certain amount of liberation that you are just not open to because you're not ready to forgive in some area. Like the emotional freedom and liberation comes after a certain amount of regeneration and rebirth and rejuvenation. It's like you can't be free if you're still like shackled and tied to something. And the forgiveness that you, I'm not even going to put any caveats on that forgiveness. I'm not, because ultimately at the end of the day, like forgiveness is something that you kind of sort of have to do. And if you need it to come in this way, or if you need it to come in that way, honestly, it sounds like you're not ready to do it. And that's something that you need to work out within you. And that's not something that I'm going to pull anything more for. What's this? Harmonic resonance, I believe. Yep. Harmonic resolution and adventure are the two cards that came out. And I feel like harmonic resolution and adventure kind of sort of speak to the area of like, without this liberation and without this emotional freedom, if you're stuck and not being able to forgive someone, you're not going to be able to rise into what it is that unites us and brings you that unity with your higher. Like if you watch the higher perspective today, it's kind of sort of very much along that same line. If you're not able to rise to that, it's not going to give you that unity. You're not going to get that harmonic resonance that then leads to what life can be, when life could be an adventure, when you are just like living this magical, like it's like so many people I've found, because apparently everybody is doing magic nowadays. I didn't know that until a few months ago. I'm like, what? Like that's real? Like I knew it was real, but I guess I didn't know that everybody was doing it apparently. But it's like so many people trying to find so many shortcuts when at the end of the day, you could just be like healed, whole, happy, get into a spot where you can harmonically resonate with what it is that is your higher self, that what it is with what it is that is your creator, and you can have that magical adventurous life that you want without all of the sort of like bypassing and with all of the blowback from that bypass, right? It's like you're trying to cheat the game, and when you cheat the game, especially this game, it's like you're cheating yourself out of an opportunity. So like, and I guess I shouldn't have such a mono pointed view of everything, right? Because that would be literally me doing exactly what I talked about the other dudes for doing. Because some of that is cultural, not all of it is bad. But I feel like whenever you engage with it as a sort of shortcut, that's when you start to cheat yourself, right? Or man, and then again, like not everybody is on the same path. And so different people reach different heights, or different people. It's not that they reach different heights, it's just they take different routes, and maybe one route is yours and another route isn't. And so it's not for me to say what is and what should and what shouldn't be your path, because ultimately at the end of the day, regardless of what I say, you're going to do whatever you want to do. I would just recommend that if you want something that is a little bit more organic, excuse me, and self regulating, self propagating, then you just like do the healing that you need to do, forgive who you need to forgive, rise into that space and experience it more naturally and more authentically. Again, not to say that one way is more or less authentic, but if you think about it, I'm not going to say anything else. I feel like that would be very Sagittarian and judgmental of me, and I'm not going to do that because, again, I believe like, we're all entitled to our own beliefs, and not everything deemed quote unquote magic is bad. And even the magic that could be deemed quote unquote bad, I mean, the world isn't perfect. And I don't want to say like somebody has to be the villain, but somebody has to be the villain. And so if it's your journey to be a villain in this life, and again, not saying that all or everyone who practices and everyone who is a practitioner is a villain, but if you're like dominating someone else's will, or if you think that you have to go about things by stealing it and taking it away from other people, then that doesn't sound very heroic to me. And again, it's not this hero versus villain duality all the time, but it is that energy of um, Marcosius and Nikar. I'll just say Nikar because I feel like that sounds far enough from what I was gonna say. Like that Marcosius Nikar energy is like something is being sold to you in a way that could very easily kind of sort of go either way. I feel like you could very easily get swept into like once you do this and once you do that. It's like how a lot of people used to say that marijuana is the gateway drug because once you try that, then you're open to like anything. You're more suggestible. And it's like you get used to this certain level of altered consciousness. You get used to this certain level of ease. A lot of people who start like drinking or whatever, like if you're doing it to escape, sometimes you need a more powerful escape tendency because when you're trying to escape, you can't because it's like your body gets used to it. And so it's like you get more, it's the energy of like, even if you don't catch someone stealing from you the first time, you'll probably catch them after the 15th time because after you don't catch them like 5 times, they'll think that they can get away with it. After you don't catch them the 10th time, they start to get bold. And after you don't catch them the 14th time, they get stupid. And so, like, they think they're going to get away with it. They're extra bold and now they're stupid and careless. And then they get caught. And then one thing I didn't understand in high school was like the people who would be like when the teacher would be like, don't eat in the class, don't listen to music. And then one day they get in trouble and they'd be like, well, I was listening to music and I was eating in class all them other days and you never said nothing. But if you know that it's a rule, it's like you should be grateful, I guess, that you didn't get in trouble before. But just because you got away with it before doesn't mean that you get an automatic continue to get away with it for the rest of your life past. Like, no, because you knew it was a rule the first time you decided to break it, and it was still a rule every subsequent time you decided to break it. So you got careless and now you're in trouble and it got taken away. Like, that's on you because the first time you made that choice, you knew that you shouldn't have made it. Just because you got away for a certain amount of time does not mean that you were in the right. And again, it's not necessarily a right versus wrong type of thing, but it is like if you continue to do this, eventually you will get caught up and eventually you will get caught. And again, that's not to like lump everything together, but I feel like it's very easy to get complacent or to adopt a mindset of like instead of doing this hard work or instead of doing that or instead of waiting, I'm going to take this shortcut because the greed that is background in our human nature gets you to want more and more and more, and you don't get satisfied, you keep going further and further and further, and then one day comes temptation to cross the line. And since you've come that far, you're so much more likely to cross that line and to continue on the path that you were already on. And then you cross the line, you go too far, you make a mistake, and then boom, you're in trouble. And you're like, well, I got away with it up until this point. It's like, okay, well, maybe you should have stayed smart. Maybe you should have kept acting like you weren't going to get caught. Because then at least maybe if you would have had that level of caution, you wouldn't have made this mistake that you made and played right into the hands of whatever energy that you're playing with's hands, right? I feel like there is a high level of knowledge and of awareness that you need to have whenever you're playing with stuff like that, because I feel like it'd be very, very easy. And that's one thing that, like, especially when it comes to the internet, girl, I don't trust anything I see on the internet enough to, like, put my life, like, on the line or put whatever on the line. I'm like, I can't trust anybody can say anything on the internet. And a lot of what people say on the internet is like stuff that somebody else said, that somebody else said, that somebody else said, that somebody else said, that somebody else said. And like, where is the source of that information? And what are the intentions behind that? Right? What is their intent in putting this information out? Whenever someone shares information, I mean, like, I feel like you can tell, like, when someone's intent is to, like, inform people and to put other people in their own power and to get people to, like depending on the information that you share, it's like, okay, why are you sharing this? And where does this come from? Why are you trying to get me to do this? Like, why are you selling this to me? I don't know. That's just how it works sometimes. Anyway, always use your own discernment, as I say. And that's what this was. This started out kind of beautiful, and maybe I guess I shouldn't have been surprised that it went a little sour with that last stick. And again, not all of them are bad in that deck. And I'm not usually the type of person to typecast energies, but I know that it can be very, very easy. And once you get into certain types of energy, like it's just a very, very, very slippery slope with the way that people work. And with the instant gratification culture, that's sort of a thing right now. And with convenience being as big as it is right now, like convenience and instant gratification, and this just like bottomless, it's like people have been so far disconnected and so far removed and so convinced to chase material things that they are not filling the voids within themselves. And that's very Capricorn South Node, Cancer North Node. Like, forget the stuff, where's the substance? Like, you can have the most gorgeous framework that is so solid, but like you got to put up walls, you got to put up like plaster, you have to connect the iron grids, because I can't live in a house of sticks that ain't got nothing attached to it. Like, okay, the framework and the foundation is important, yes, but I can't move a family into a foundation. Like, where's the home? So far into the material, so far into the material, and so far disconnected to themselves, and so far into that instant gratification and convenience and what is easy and what is quick and what is here right now for me, that it's that slope is just so slippery. And that's one reason why, like, there are some things that, even with like the whole like twin flame journey, there are things that I, even though I don't typecast things, there are things that I may speak in the way as if I do, because that's like with the realization of how malleable a lot of people are and how easily convinced, and how much a lot of us just seem to want to push off the work and push off the responsibility and blame other people and just like get what we want when we want it. I feel like it's another one of those slippery slopes where you get people who buy into the story, but they just completely tune out all of the work and all of the growth and all of the healing that they need to do to really be on that. And that's a lot of hard work that a lot of people won't do. And it's almost this energy of like, well, if you would have marketed it, if you would have marketed it as all of the hard work that comes with it, how many people would be buying it? Because you're selling people a final product when the whole thing is DIY. And that's just like, my mom talk about like Tabitha B, and how like she's still doing good work, because my mom is on her own thing, and she's like, I want to eat this, and like I want to try to go vegan, and like when Tabitha B makes it, it looks so good. I'm like, yeah, well, Tabitha B ain't gonna be making it in this house. You will be making it, and you're gonna be like, man, it looked better when Tabitha B did it. It's like, yeah, because she's selling you the thing that she spent however much time sort of perfecting and honing herself, but she ain't in your kitchen, she ain't making your meals. Like, you got to make it yourself. It's DIY. And you're just like, you're selling people a finished product. It's like going to IKEA, but you don't get no help. And it's like, and we're just so instant gratification that a lot of people don't even want to assemble their own furniture. So that's the reason why I do it. I feel like I have to clarify that, because again, I'm not the type of person to typecast one thing or to sort of like judge anyone else for the choices that they make. And I kind of sort of do judge people, honestly. Like when people are just like heartless or ruthless, and it's not that I judge them, because I understand it, but I'm just like, I understand how people can reach the point where they behave that way, but I still don't like get it. Like I've gotten good at being like, this is a thing that people do. I accept that in this world and in this reality, this is a behavior that a lot of people express, and these are the ways that they can get that. Like, my Jupiter is in Libra. Like, I can follow the same track and the same line of thinking as you, potentially, to see how you got to where you're going, but I still don't get like why you would do it. Like, I understand the reasoning behind it, but like when you actually made that choice, I don't get it. And like the same goes for everybody. And so it's like, I don't necessarily judge, But it's just like when it comes to like things like that that are a slippery slope, or things where it's like if you knew the truth behind the situation fully, you would have made a different choice. Like that's especially when I'm like, that's what I don't like. When it's like if you would have given someone the full information of this, they would have made a different choice. And that's where my beef is with Mercury, as you know, as someone whose North Node is in Sagittarius and whose South Node is in Gemini, because I feel like Gemini will sell you a pretty story, but Gemini ain't gonna tell you that as soon as you take this car off the lot, it's gonna break down. Like, yeah, this baby is as long as it's within our territory, as long as it's within this space, it works perfectly, 100% fine, knowing that you're gonna take it home, but they're not going to tell you that when you take it home, it's not going to work the same, right? But they'll sell you that thing. And the Sagittarius North Node to me is like, okay, if that person knew that that car was going to break down as soon as they left, regardless of how inexpensive it was, they wouldn't have gotten it. So, Mercury, you need to tell people the full truth, because what you're doing isn't right. And I'm not saying it's wrong, because, you know, at the end of the day, we all got to make a dollar, because many make the world go round, I guess. But I feel like people should at least be informed on the decisions that they make. And then if they choose to make the same decision, then, like, you know, because I feel like if you're really the best of the best, if you're really a good salesman, you'll be able to tell the truth and still sell it. You know what I mean? If you trust in the quality of your product, you'll be able to tell people what it's really made out of and still sell it. Like, it's just, I don't know. I've ran it for long enough, going nowhere. Um, it's just that, you know, it's time for folks to step up in their own lives and to take charge in a way that a lot of people honestly probably won't. Um, but honestly, if I think about it, even though some things look a little wonky, people in some ways are starting to ask questions, are starting to look at things a little deeper. And I feel like we're kind of sort of coming into this space where we are, especially here. And that's another thing that, like, I guess it's kind of sort of polarizing, because it's like some people see it, some people don't. Right. But we're almost in this space of being able to see how much of a circus some things really are, because of the performers that they have on center stage right now. And so, because the show is so, it's like, because we're able to see the strings on the puppet now it ruins the immersion. And once the immersion is ruined, that's when the cogs in people's brains start to turn again. And maybe we're just coming into this space where we're starting to learn to think, and we're starting to learn to question. We're starting to learn to see beyond a little bit more with that Cancer North Node. It's like we're starting to look for the substance. We're starting to look for the heart in a situation, because we kind of sort of have to, but that's besides the point. Um, and so I do believe that it's shifting. I don't know what this transitional phase is going to look like, but I do see it shifting. And it's almost like, man, this movie is so bad. Like, you can tell that the actors in this movie don't even want the roles that they're acting in. And you're like, wow, should we keep watching it? Damien with an A. Let me stop. And Damien with an A is like, yes, let's continue watching. Let's see how this unfolds. And then somebody comes in and they're like, you know what, guys, like, this isn't right and this isn't working. And like, boo, they don't even go here. Put the show back on. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, like, let's see what happens. It's like, okay, Damien with an A, whatever. Oh, it's gonna be all about Damien's with an A now. Well, let me stop. But yeah, that's what I have. This kind of sort of devolved at the end a little bit, but I mean, this is also a space for me to more authentically express my truth, or what I observe and how I feel about certain things. And that's honestly, I feel like I really came into this space in like November or December, whenever that whole World War Three went, the whole World War Three scare or whatever went down, when I was like, you know what? It's too easy for people to make the wrong choices, and it's too easy for people to make the wrong choices and the wrong decisions because of how things are set up and because of how it's rewarded. Like, why is it the case that it seems like the story and the narrative is that it's so hard to be ethical and successful at the same time? Why is it always the story of like, this is how the industry works? Like, why can't we just be like not toxic and still get that success? Why is being bad so much more rewarding than being good? If like free will is actually free, and if free choice is an actual choice, the scales are not balanced. They very much so lean in one direction, and that's not right. And then I'm like, I don't know, other stuff happened. I got mad because I was like, hey, stuff ain't right down here. This is not right. I feel like this ain't right. Some things gotta change. And now things are changing. So, but it's still a decision that we make collectively. So we'll see where we go. I have the highest. I actually kind of sort of have faith in humanity, low key, and I just found it like a few months ago. I was surprised because if you would have talked to me like a year ago, I would have been like, "Oh no, people are doomed. We're a lost cause. We'll never get it." But now I'm like, I feel like people are actually kind of sort of getting it now, and I'm excited to see things shift and move and change. Um, But yeah, I officially have nothing else to say now. I'm gonna shut this down. I'm gonna go to bed. I don't know what this turned into at the end. I'm gonna get me some chili before I go to bed. Should I not? See, but if I eat chili, I don't want to eat right before I go to sleep because then I'm gonna feel gross. Because my body doesn't like that anymore. I don't think my body ever liked it, honestly. But now that I listen to my body, it's like my body's like, yeah, I never liked that. And I kind of sort of always told you, you just weren't in a space to listen to me. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna eat this chili and then I guess I'll be up because I've been up all night anyway. And then I'm gonna have dreams about whatever. So again, thank you for stopping by. This has been whatever it was. So I guess also you can kind of sort of I wouldn't say that you can kind of sort of get a feel for how I read because I kind of sort of read different for different situations. But you can see the decks that I have. Um, I did all of my tarot decks and all of my oracle decks. The only deck I didn't feature at all was the Lenormands, and I pulled those at the top of the last video when I answered like 2 questions. Um, but yeah, I guess things will be changing here fairly soon. And I'm just going along with it, honestly. I'm like, you want me to drop my email? Okay, I'll drop my email. You wanted me to be open to people? Okay, I'll be open. Make sure y'all send me the right ones, though. But honestly, at the end of the day, I'm going to get who I'm going to get. So I'm not too worried about it. I'm just going to I don't know. I just realized I don't have my email up all of a sudden, even though I know it's never been up. I just realized I don't have it up. And I was like, okay, I know what this means, but I'm still going to do it. So I'm going to shut this down for the 3rd time. I'm going to shut this down. It still rambles. I hope you have a good I hope you have a good whatever, whenever you see this. And don't be afraid to make the hard choices. Because if you make the hard choices and if you do the hard work now, things are going to be so much more easy and beautiful and effortless in the end. It's just a period of really getting there. It's a period of really getting there. All of the best.